Okay, are we live? Are we going live? Hello, folks. Let's double check that it's coming through. There we go. Let's have a look. Might be a bit of sound bleed. There we go. Let's have a look. Hello, Pete, mate. How are you? Stream's working. Thanks for chiming in there, mate. That lets me know that everything's going all right. Okay, right. We are live. We are live. Hello, folks. So, today's live stream, I was gonna do a video review of 1.4. There's been lots already, but I wanted to leave it about a week before I did anything, because I did a live stream when it first came out. Me and Bram at Race Department managed to get an article published on the release of 1.4 about half an hour before it actually dropped, and then I did a live stream as soon as it had dropped. But I wanted to do a kind of a user review, you know, how I experience it as a user for you guys out there, but after a week, because what tends to happen with big RESA updates or Automobilista 2 updates, if you're not familiar with Automobilista 2, I'm sure you will be, but if you're not, RESA make it, is that they will release a big update, and what will happen is there'll be bits missing, there might be a few bugs that haven't been ironed out, and also they can change a load of stuff, and it might open a portal or some kind of gap for one of the old bugs to come back. And when they, you know, after a couple of weeks, they've sorted that all out, because they've got a whole bunch of users on the forums, or players and drivers on the forums, letting them know what's going on. So I thought I'd give it, you know, a week to sort of clean up a bit. For instance, one of the surprise things in the update was Spa 2022, and when it first came out, there were bits of missing scenery. That's now been sorted and patched. There's been several patches, so we're now on version 1.4.1.2, and the other reason I did a live stream is because it would probably end up being a heck of a long video, because there is just literally so much to cover. And I'm going to try and cover what I've discovered, my experiences, you know, what I know, what I found out, what I think. If you know, you can take my opinion or leave it. It's just, you know, my own personal opinion. Compare it to what you think as well. You can chime in the comments, of course, and just want to go through everything from the ground up. Okay, so first things first. And when I say from the ground up, I'm talking about first things first, as in installing the game. And you might wonder why am I saying that? Okay, so I'm just going to get this out of the way. There's been a lot of talk on the forums since 1.4 came out that certain people have been experiencing problems and other people haven't. And quite a few of the other people who haven't been experiencing the problems said, oh, I did a full reinstall of the sim, or the program or the game, after 1.4 came out and the subsequent patches. Now, obviously, that's a hell of an undertaking, because the install is about 80 gig. The download is about 42. So you download it, and then once it's unpacked, it's an 80 gig odd folder with everything in it at the moment. So obviously the download takes quite a while. Now, this week I had the time. So many people kept saying this, I thought that can't be right, but I'm going to investigate. Because ages back, RESA were always suggesting reset your default setups when a new car gets, or when a car gets adjusted in terms of a patch. And when there's a big update, they used to say delete your documents folder. That was probably a year ago now. You don't need to do that anymore. However, people have been saying a full install has really helped them out. Now, I'm not suggesting that you need to go out and do a full install at all. But just because I've got the time, I decided to do so. It was about 2.5 hours after I'd uninstalled everything, and I mean uninstall the game, then go and get rid of all of the folders, everything gone. and I did a full reinstall. It took about 2.5 hours to re-download, so I went and played guitar for 2.5 hours. You know, like I said, I had the time. And then I'd photographed all of the settings that I needed to remember. So as soon as it was reinstalled, I just punched all my settings back in from the photographs I'd taken and tried it again. Now, what I'm going to tell you is this. Did I notice any kind of a difference? Because people were saying it was making a difference to the FFB. Some people were saying, you know, it's there, not sure what it is. Some people were saying it's not done anything. Some people were saying, I'm not going to do that because it won't do anything at all. You could just delete your documents folder. Blah, blah, blah. I don't know how it's done this, but for me, it has made a change. And I'm not suggesting you need to do a full install, because it could have just been a case of the fact that I did a full install. When I've come back into the sim, I've then recalibrated my wheel and pedals. And it could just be that's changed it for me. I mean, I might not have even had to have done a full reinstall. Could be that, or just deleting the document folder. I don't know, but something has changed. So, just to clear this up, I think you probably don't need to do a full reinstall, but it has changed something for me. And what I found is the steering got tighter. I found it easier to catch slides. It seemed more immediate and even faster. Steering seemed faster, but that might be because of the tighter feel. But the biggest thing that it changed for me, and no, it hasn't made any of the cars that are a little bit loads better. No, it hasn't fundamentally changed the handling of anything, but apart from one thing, and this is it. So I'll show you this first. Okay, so if I come down here, let's find Laguna Seca as a test track, because that's just where I last drove these cars. We're in test, and if I come to the GTs, go to the GT4s. Right, the BMW M4 here. Now, previously, before my reinstall or my recalibration of the pedals, I think it's probably to do with recalibration of the wheel and pedals. Someone mentioned that with the Madness engine, which this runs on, things can slip out over time. Or maybe it's just turning computer on and off so many times, or adjusting things in your wheel software. It gradually loses calibration with the game. It might not even be the engine's fault at all. But it's fundamentally changed the BMW M4 here. Now, I'm going to go out on a default setup, but I usually drive this thing, if I can, without traction control and ABS. So I'm going to do that. I've got the steering degrees set at the default, which is, let's see, where are my steering degrees? I've forgotten where they are. How embarrassing. They're in here somewhere. 18 degrees. It's 18 degrees of lock. But obviously that's how far the front wheels actually turn. Your lock on your steering wheel is a different thing. So if I jump into the car here, which is extremely loud in my headphones, going to have to turn that down a bit. I hope you can hear my voice over the car engine there. Please let me know in the stream. Just chime in there if you can't hear anything. And right, so we're back in the sim. Now, the steering here, previously in this car was really, really, really twitchy. Now, I'm over the speed limit there. Now it's a joy. Okay, so I could make a slight movement and this car would dart left or dart right. I mean, really, really jerky, basically. Now I've got to turn quite hard to get around that hairpin. Now, previously, if I turned about that much, the car would act like it was trying to go round a hairpin. And as you can see there, it's not quite so bad. And I always had to go into the steering degrees and change the lock from 18 to further towards 20, or I can't remember quite how far it goes, maybe 24. But I was having to change that up. Now, it's driving like a dream. That's also to do with the fact that the updates improved the car, obviously. But before I did my reinstall, it was after all the patches had come out, and nothing changed with the steering on this car. It felt better, but the steering is still weird. And here's the really weird thing, okay? And like I said, I don't know why this is. It could just be a recalibration, might not be because of the full reinstall, but the lock seems to have changed in this car. Previously, this car would turn to about there. Okay, my wheel is synced with the wheel on screen, so you can see that. If I move my seat position down a bit, that was about as far as the lock went. You really didn't have much steering. Now, it's all the way to around there, which just wasn't the case before. So, it's gone from that to sort of that. So I've got extra lock on the steering wheel. So I don't know how that has happened, but it has. So I am really chuffed, and I've got to say I'm really enjoying driving this GT4. Not only because of the change of doing that recalibration, but the fact that it really does feel rather good now with the update, the new tyre carcasses and everything else. By the way, thank you Grand Upper for letting me know that the sound is good. That's really useful to me. Cheers, mate. And hello G-Sam Dad. Now let's just see, you've made a comment. You're saying you always found the M4 needed a lot of turning to go round. It's twitchy on the rear but not turning in for me. Defo sounds like wheel calibration. Well, I mean, try a recalibration and see if it feels any better. I'm finding that I can really steer it smoothly with slight or sort of big steering movements, but it doesn't just dart from one side to the other now. And like I said, it's partly to do with the way it feels, partly to do with this recalibration. By the way, as I go through this live stream today, or this review, you will be seeing me drive some cars that I'm not used to. So I hope you find this stream informative and useful, and if nothing else, entertaining, because you are going to see how utterly terrible my driving is with some cars, and also how bloody slow I am. And also today I can't seem to control my hair, so if it goes a bit mad at any point, if I have to take the headphones off and on again, I get two sort of curls coming out here. It's just what it's doing today. That's what happens if you have hair like mine, like cheese wire. Grand Upper, I am yelling a bit. Yeah, okay, no, fair enough. Point taken, mate. Right, so I'll try and stop yelling so much, or maybe I could move that up and it won't be so loud. I get enthusiastic on my streams, especially because I'm so excited about this update and what it's done. But there are problems as well, so you know I'm going to be critical as well as showing you what I enjoy, because you need to be both, because it's useful for Reza, and Reza have been on the forums getting back to everyone about things that they've found that might or might not work. So from the ground up, we've covered the installation. Now the UI, obviously the UI has changed. We've got new pictures, which is very nice, but they're just new pictures. The biggest change as you immediately go into the UI is this. We've now got official events. Time trials, as far as I know, are working again, although no record set yet for this car. They've been reset, but we've now got official events. By the way, is that Grand Upper, is that sounding a bit better? Am I not shouting too much now? We've got official events. This is a wonderful tab, and as you can see, they're already running. So we've got time trial of the week. Let's see, we've got two different events. So is this with all the GT4s? Yes, it is. What's the other one? We've got one with the trucks, and I'm not surprised that they've decided to do one with the trucks, because the Cobra trucks now, with this update, there's been a massive change to them. They are just fantastic to drive, absolutely fantastic. Let's see who's doing well in the time trials of the week so far. Drew Face with a time of 1:33.4, Matt Webb, and with 1:33.5 and a 1:33.6 by Hamtidamty. Hamtidamty. And they're all in Ginettas, the G55, so obviously looks like that's the car to beat. Kevin Barbie, yes, I'm excited as well. Obviously, there's nothing in upcoming, but I'm wondering if these events aren't just going to be time trials, if they're going to be, you know, organised races on Reza servers, that sort of thing. I'm very excited for that, you know, especially if they can do things like proper stewarding, that sort of thing. Okay, so that's one of the things that's changed in the UI. Now, here's another thing. If you go into your gameplay menu now, when you go down to damage, what we used to have was damage type, which is obviously full damage, visual only, or off. And then we had damage scale, which went from something like, I think it was off to 25 to 50 to 75 to 100, and then to 125 or 120, 150, 175, and 200% damage scale. Now we have only got max, high, medium, low. Now, I've got to say, I'm not particularly keen on this change. I preferred my percentages. I don't know how you guys feel, but I preferred my percentages. I knew where I was, and I had quite a few increments. Now I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 increments. I'm sure I had more than that with the percentages. Apparently, if you're wondering what 100% damage was, which is what you people, well, the game defaulted to when you were running full damage, apparently, so I've been told, I think it was by Crimson Essence or maybe one of the other staff on Reza, that medium is 100%. So max must be 200% now. I'm not keen on that. I prefer my percentages. You may disagree. Tell me what you think in the comments. So that's changed. And also, when you go for a race, in your opponent settings, we've got a change here as well. And that is that your opponent's skill level is still in percentages, and you can go in 1% increments. Please, Reza, keep that. Please keep skill as, you know, so we can fine tune it. Again, what do you guys think? Do you want to be able to still do it in 1% increments from, I think it's 70 to 120? To go all the way down to 70? Is it 70? Yes, it is. Okay, there we go. And all the way up to 100. I'm going to take that down to 100 for the moment, just for testing later. Now, this is the thing that's changed. You now have opponent aggression. That used to be in percentages as well. And that's now in low, medium, high, or max. I'm not keen on that. I'd rather have my percentages. I used to have them about 70. I've got no idea what 70 was, so I'm just going for medium. It seems to be okay with the AI. It seems to work. Okay, so save that as is. Now, there's so much to cover. There's so much to cover. Let's see, rules and regulations. We now have full course yellows. That is one of the biggest things that has come into the sim, full course yellows. Of course, now we've got the oval racing, we've got 3 new tracks. And you've got to have full course yellows for oval racing. Now, you've got oval racing in rFactor 2, but the full course yellows you just can't turn on, because if you turn them on, you'll just end up in an endless pace lap. There's something wrong there. I am pretty damn sure that this year that will be sorted by Studio 397, who make rFactor 2, because they've really this year started addressing some old problems. Like, for instance, they've brought in working track temperatures. I can tell you that full course yellows do work in Automobilista 2. They've brought them in and they work. You won't end up in an endless pace lap. If something goes wrong, you'll either be doing a lap pace or a pace lap, or depending on where the accidents happen, maybe 2 laps, and then you'll be off and go again. So that's amazing. I'm going to turn those on right now. However, I will say this. In fact, I think I'll make this one of the next things I look at. I love the fact that we've got full course yellows. Not so keen on how they work in certain respects. So I'm going to go through my reasons for saying that. But I love the fact that we've got them, and I love the fact that they work. Well done, Reza. I know they're going to be updated. I know they're not perfect, and that has been stated by the devs on the forums as well. For instance, there's no pace car yet, but it has been stated that there will be. So let's just have a look at how this works. Got a comment from GSM Dad here. Sorry, GSAM. Let's just pop into it. I can't quite see what you've written there. Scroll up. On the damage and aggression changes, I see the positives only having 4 options. How much... hang on. My scroll button's not working too well. How much difference does 1% change make? I think there's a limit to fine tuning. Maybe with the aggression. But I don't know. I still prefer my percentages. Maybe the new method is a bit rough cut, but the old was too granular for me. I'd rather have optimizations on more crucial elements in the game, like visuals, force feedback, and tyre models. Well, I've got to tell you, mate, tyre models and force feedback, yeah, of course. Actually, you always want development there. You know, for instance, I think there is still the odd bit they could do with the force feedback. The force feedback on some cars is absolutely great, but I still think there's the odd little thing. Mind you, you could say that about so many sims, couldn't you? So we got G-Sam here. He likes the increments. I like the percentages, though, I've got to say. Right, let's get on with this full course yellow system. So first of all, we'll go to... We've got several new oval tracks. So we have got brand new tracks in the form of... Oh, well, when it comes to oval tracks, we have got here Gateway Raceway. Now, I've just got this recently for R Factor 2, and it's great. I never knew about Gateway. I'd never raced a Gateway before, and I really like it. I like the curbs. They're quite challenging. You don't want to hit the curbs. They're quite big ones. And in R Factor 2, we have the oval configuration, and we also have the road course, the short road course. Very pleased to say, in Automobilista 2, they've given us 3 versions. So we've got the long road course as well, which I have to say I have not tried yet. We also have, of course, Fontana Raceway, which... was that not Atlanta Raceway? For those of you that know, maybe some Americans want to chime in here, but is that the old Atlanta Raceway? Because I'm sure we had that in R Factor 2. Driving around it, it's just like, this is the old Atlanta from R Factor 2. Am I getting it mixed up with another track beginning with A? Anyway, we've got the road course version, which is really quite challenging. Some really tight turns in there. And we've got the oval configuration as well. Now, we have had Daytona in the game for a while, but we only had the road course and the road course with no chicane variant. Now we have the oval as well. So seeing as we already had that in the game, but now we've got the oval, let's go there. So we're going to choose an IndyCar. So if I come over to my formulas here, I'm going to go with the Formula USA Gen 3. Now, there was a problem when the new version came out. I'm going to go with the Lola Ford Cosworth here. There was a problem that if you tried to load these cars at, I think it was Fontana, or Gateway. Yeah, it was Gateway Oval. The whole game crashed. That's been sorted with the new patches, so no worries about that. Fontana is in California. Thank you, John Ellis. See, I'm learning as I'm streaming. Brilliant. Are you from the States, John? So, we'll go with the Lola. And we're going to go to that track. Now, when I go to the opponent's setting, I'm going to take them down to 90. Because they're quite hard to keep up with. And there is variances in how fast the Indy cars are at the different ovals. Apparently, from what I've been hearing on the forums, and from what I've experienced, at, say, Fontana, they're really fast at 90, whereas you can keep up with them at Daytona, that sort of thing. So there's some calibration to be done there. Reeza will get round to that. One thing to note as well, also, Reeza have stated in an official post on the forums by Renato himself, thank you for all the hard work that you've done, mate, and the whole crew. They have stated that certain car classes that are, not yet designed for ovals don't have oval setups and may not work well at ovals. So maybe, I don't know, if you took out the Cooper trucks, they might not work well there. That is all to come, though, apparently. So they'll be getting through that gradually. But we've got the Indy cars there, and they work, so that's good. Now, we're going to go for the same class. Here's a little bug I found. If you go for identical, so there's only 4 of the Lolas that I'm running. You'll get 4 Lolas. But you want a full field, so you want all of the Indy cars, so you go to the same class. If you've previously been at identical, you only had 4 cars on track, I have found, and this is a bug that's been persisting for a while now, not just on this update, or it's reared its head again. When you go to max, you'll then load the track, and it'll still only have 4 cars, and you have to come back out and reload it again, and then it goes, oh yeah, hang on, that's what you said. So that's something to be aware of. I'm going to go from the back of the pack, oh, remind me in the comments to come back to the grid editing thing, because there's something I want to talk about there. There's a new feature that we've got where you can really edit your grid in multi-class, and it's really quite brilliant. So that's what we've got. Hopefully it will load all the cars. We have our full course yellows on. And before I talk about the cars or the track or anything like that, I'm going to concentrate on how these full course yellows work. So let's see, we'll get 2 during the day, and we want sunshine. I'm not going for real weather because I don't know what the weather's doing in the States at the moment. It's boiling hot here in Norfolk. I imagine it's warm in the States, but it's thousands of miles away, so it could be raining. And we don't want that, because the Indy cars, when you load them at the ovals, they only have speedway slicks. And there's another point to bring up on that. Just by the way, for anyone that doesn't know, if you have a look at this car, you'll see it says Cosworth Speed, so Lola Ford Cosworth Speedway. And you can see that the wings here on the front are rather small, and back as well. Okay, we now have oval setups. So if I then change the track to a road course, like Portugal here, select, you'll now see that the car's got a much bigger wing here and a much bigger wing here. And it doesn't say Speedway. So there's about 3 different setups you can, the game will auto select depending on which track you go to. So we'll change back to Daytona here. There we go. And you'll see we've gone back to our setup. This, by the way, also in another recent patch, it doesn't just affect your aero package. Obviously, you're going to be running a lower or less downforce aero package on an oval, but it also affects your camber. So I don't mean to teach you to suck eggs, but for anyone new to oval racing, basically on an oval, where you've got on a racing car, you know, you've got negative camber like that. On an oval, you're going to get positive on the inside because of you're constantly turning left. I won't explain any more than that because I'm sure you all know what I'm talking about. But that's that. Anyway, so let's load the track. Hopefully everything's going to be okay and nothing's going to go wrong. But this is a live stream. This is why I wanted to do this. So if anything pops up that I'm not yet aware of, a bug or a fantastic thing that I haven't noticed yet, we'll see it live on stream, so you'll get an honest representation of what's going on. Also, we have mechanical failures and random failures. In fact, they've been brought into the game. I'm just going to come back out of there and just check to see if they are on or off. And there's a specific reason for me doing this before I load the track. So these mechanical failures, we already had mechanical failures to the clutch, things like that. You could burn out your engine. But now you can get an oil leak, you can blow a turbo, all sorts of things. So you really have to think about what you're doing with your engine. So on full damage, max damage, and your mechanical failures are here, random failures are here, so they are turned on. Right, now the reason I want to make sure that they were turned on is because I was finding before this very last little patch that was brought out just yesterday or the day before, I think it was, that the Indy cars were getting a lot of random engine failures. Like literally they were breaking down on the second lap, third lap, fourth lap. Just a little bit too much. I don't know if any of you guys watching out there have experienced this. Also, there was a problem where the Indy cars' wheels would just suddenly break. They're going along and suddenly, without hitting anything, the IndyCar wheel just pops off and there's a huge crash. Now, in this last patch in the notes, Reza has said that they've looked at some of the failures. I don't know if that's been solved, so I'm going to find out right now live in front of you. So, if we go to setup, this is another very important point. I'm going to make sure I'm on default setup. Now, I've found that at certain tracks, because a lot of people were reporting this on the forums, at certain tracks, especially I think it was Fontana, people were finding that they'd get out on the track for the first time driving these cars, and it was like they were driving it on ice. It really was. You know, you turn the car slightly and the whole thing just spun. Now, and you didn't even have to be going very fast. What I have found out is there seems to be some little odd bug. What I did is you've got your tyres in the default setup as automatic by weather, and up here it shows you that they're Speedway slicks. Now, I was having that problem with the car sliding all over the place until I changed the tyres, both the Speedway slicks, and then went out on track, and that solved it. I then came out, restarted, went back to automatic by weather, and they were still just fine, like you were properly on slicks. So even though they're the only tyres you can select, it seems that if you just change it once and back again, or to Speedway slicks, we'll leave it on Speedway slicks for the moment, it seems that that solves the problem. So there may be a little bug there. Let me know in the comments again if anyone's experienced that. Right, so let's have a look at these yellow flags, and excuse me on the start because I don't think I've got rolling start set. I should do for this, but I think it's standing, and I'm going to have a problem accelerating as fast as the AI because these cars get very the high revs. It gets a bit hard to control. You've got to lift off the throttle. Anyway, yellow flags. I'm going to try and hopefully the way this goes, it will let me show you what I like and dislike about the yellow flags. Okay. Oh, I have got manual rolling starts going. Well done, me. A fellow Norfolkian, Kevin Barber. This is what I don't like. This is right. Look at this. The cars are sliding. If they come to a halt, they look at that behind me. I've deliberately gone ahead of the pack, so I'm in front of them, and they've got to slow down. But look, they slide. They just slide off the oval. They're fine when they're racing, but if you stop them, they'll just slide. So let's just restart that. I have found, I think it was at Fontana, if you actually wait till race start and you just have this screen before you start the race, you can see them sliding down the track. By the way, whereabouts in Norfolk are you, Kevin Barber? I recognise the name Barber. We've got a few Barbers here. So, that's not a good thing. Also, I don't like the fact that you can drive through cars. I don't like being able to drive through other cars in any sim. You can't do that in R-Factor 2. You can only do it in the pits in AMS, or Assetto Corsa Competizione and Assetto Corsa. And I don't like the fact that it sometimes happens on track in Automobilista 2. That's a big gripe of mine. Drayton, that's not far from us, mate. Not far from us at all. We're near down the market. Or as we say in Norfolk, down market, old boy. Right, boy. No, it's not right, is it, John? Anyway, I'll try and behave myself now. I'm going for a proper start. Now, I am rubbish with these cars, by the way. But I have to say, oval racing when you're in the pack, it's so good to be doing it again because it's so exciting. It's one thing going around and doing laps, but when you're in the pack, oh, you've got to be on your game. You've got to be on your game. So here we go. We're going for race trial. I'm maintaining position 29. Here's another thing. The car on the inside would have been in 28th, right beside me, but he's now ended up way ahead. So I'm 29th, red car's 20. He's in 27th or 26th. Right, we're going green. Now I'm going to try and keep up until something happens. We'll look out for any of those tyres popping up or anything like that. But if there's a problem, we'll see what happens when there's a yellow flag. And I've got to try and get into the slipstream. Oh, there's our jumbo jet going overhead. Because if you get out of the slipstream in oval racing, you're a bit fecked, really. Now, the AI have probably changed their gearing for this track. I haven't. But I cannot get out of 5th gear on this track. There is literally no point in changing up to 6th. And I think there's been people complaining that you can't keep up with the AI. But I've found if you change your setup, because obviously over, I think it is 80% skill level, the AI start using their own setup. So there might be something I don't know, doing something I don't know about. So we've got the pack spreading out there. We've got 4 wide just before they went into the corner. It doesn't matter that I'm hanging back because we're waiting for something to happen up in the pack. We want an accident to happen so we can see what happens with these yellow flags. A few people have also been complaining that they slow down and speed up randomly. Well, I've found that when I'm racing in the pack, if something happens and I go for a draft on someone, then the gap closes up, I then panic a bit, come off the throttle, and sometimes actually I have to stamp on the brakes, and suddenly the amount of speed that you're doing on an oval track, even if you slow down by 10 miles an hour, you suddenly drop right back. I think maybe the cars or the AI are behaving perfectly around here, and it's just the fact that occasionally if something happens, one of them's braking or not, and the pack starts to split up. You'll see in front of me the pack's gradually going to probably open up a little bit as we go round. But I will say this, before this last little patch, they definitely were slowing down as they came out of this last corner going up to the start-finish line here at Daytona. They're not doing that now unless there's a problem in the pack. Although now I've said that, they're probably going to... No, they've not done it. So they're now behaving themselves around Daytona. Just got to take my eyes off the screen to say hello to Private Blob. I'm trying not to crash because I've got max damage on. So it's hard for me to take my eyes off the screen. And there we go. There we go. There we go. Yellow flag. But you see now the cars here. Here's the first problem. Got a yellow flag, but the cars didn't just come off the throttle and slow down. They literally braked. So if you're right behind them, you go straight into the back of them. That's not what any IndyCar driver would ever do. Because you just have a car go back into the back of you. Got a message from Fartini. I will go back to you in a minute, mate, but I'm just going to show you this now we're here. Now, it says do not overtake. If I do, now look, I can drive through the cars. I don't like this driving through the cars. I don't want that. I can understand why Reader have done it, and tell me what you think about this. I can understand why Reader have done it to make things simpler on online servers. Look, they do start warming up their tyres. I love that. I love that. But I don't want the cars to ever go from solid to suddenly you can drive through them. One, for me, it breaks the immersion, totally ruins it for me. Like I said, you can never drive through other cars on R-Factor 2. But I can understand why they've done it. I would like, please, and I've mentioned this to Steel Cast 27, who came on my last stream, and he said I'm going to take note of that. I'd like the option to be able to turn off ghosted cars in any respect. I'd like the option to be able to turn that off in the pits, all sorts, but at least with this, because it's really confusing. Now look, it says don't overtake, so if I do overtake and drive through this car, I really hate that. I've now jumped the place and it's telling me to get back into my place. So now I'm going to brake and let the other car go past. Now it's telling me I'm okay. Right, so that's good that it's telling you to do that. However, if I go, let's see what happens if I overtake 2 cars here. Or more than that. So I've overtaken a couple of cars, I'm going to brake. Is it remembering my position? Let's see. 2 cars, 3 cars, 4, 5. I'm going to brake and give a place back. Right, it looks like that may have been sorted. Oh, and we're green again. Now previously, before this last patch, you could skip a load of positions, and then you'd only have to give one position back and it would tell you you're okay. Obviously you're not maintaining positions, so that was wrong, but that seems to have been sorted out. However, there is another problem, and I'll need another yellow flag to occur for this to happen, so hopefully another one will occur. I'm in 6th gear there, change down to 5th, get my acceleration up. I found you can use 6th at Fontana, by the way. But now that we're going in a straight line, I'll try and read that comment from Fartini. Do we know the AI use their own setups above 8%? Or was that, hang on, I'm cornering. Was that just a textual hangover from... No, the devs have stated that the AI do use their own setups over 8%, and I can confirm that because the G40s at Alton Park, I was always slower than them out of a certain corner unless I down changed to first. I changed my gearing, because the AI do change their gearing as well, in second, and I was then able to get out of the corners as they did. They definitely do change their setups. Let's see if we get another yellow flag. Also from Fartini, I think the AI currently need ghosting when it comes to their pit entry to avoid them crashing. I'd rather not have that at all. I'd rather their just pit entry and exits were better refined. Now look, but I know what you're saying. There's been a problem up ahead. Obviously someone slowed down in front of someone else because the pack, the back of the pack just slowed down there. But look, the pack's kind of split now. You've got the ones who were in front of that, whatever happened, whoever slowed down and caused the back of the pack to slow down. The ones in front are now gone off there. They're way up ahead. So the pack is starting to open up. Alright, there we go. We've got a full course yellow. And look. Now, if I was right behind the cars there, I'd have gone straight into the back of this car. Because they literally brake. Now, you'd only brake if there was an accident happening right in front of you, but the whole packs, even the ones that were in front of the accident, they brake. They don't come off the accelerator, they brake. I think the reason that there's so much ghosting going on as well, I literally drove through some of the debris there as well. And I think maybe the reason that Reza have done that is, one, to make things easier on public lobbies, but two, also because they haven't got the AI to behave quite correctly under yellow flags. And I hate this driving through people thing. Got to give the position back. Okay, there we go. There is another problem with the yellow flags, but I need to be in front of the pack to show you what that problem is. It's quite a big one. Although I'm not saying I don't think it doesn't work well. It does work well. Because I really would like the option, once they've got the AI behaviour sorted out, so if there's a crash, only the cars that are directly behind the crash will slam on their brakes, but not the whole pack. Then get that sorted out, and then get an option for none of the cars to ever become... Look, I can just drive through these things. Oh no, it's gone solid again, because we're on a green flag. This is what I hate. I just don't know when things are solid and when they're not. Because obviously I went for that tyre just as the green message popped up. GSM Dad said something that I can't reply just at the moment, mate, because your message has gone up in my little window and I now can't see it. But I can see Fartini's message. He's saying, do we have punctures yet? Not yet. Not yet. It has been sort of hinted at on the forums that we may in the future get them. That has been hinted at. Now look, there's an accident there. A wheel's popped off, but the cars are still going. I don't know if there's been any contact. It might have just been a wheel from a crash earlier that's just been knocked out of the way. But what I am worried about is that there's still a bug where wheels just randomly pop off cars. I think that's been sorted. I think what happened there was maybe one of the other cars just ran over a wheel. We've got some slipstream now, so hopefully I can gain a few. Right, okay. Now, just before the yellow flag, I managed. We've got the cool down lap active. What I was going to show you, I can't show you until I restart, but that gives me a good opportunity to just restart and have a look through some of your comments there so I can answer you all. Before I do that, I am just going to see if we can increase our speed a bit by halving the radiator opening so we get a bit more aerodynamics, because I want to try and keep up this time. I need to be mid-pack to show you this problem. But before that moment, let's have a look here. So, let's see. What have I missed? Fontana, I think the AI need ghosting when it comes to their... Yeah, we've gone through that. So, GSAM Dad, you said it's interesting with ghosting. I think I recall ACC being changed from solid to ghosting on rolling starts after people complained about unnecessarily crashing with solid cars. Yeah, I know. They do that on the starts, but as soon as the race goes, you're all solid. I prefer never to have that. It's just, if people can't do pace laps, if you're in a league, you generally find people can do pace laps. I don't understand why people can't do pace laps on public servers. Then again, I can, because you might get freaked out by someone coming a bit fast behind you. But John Ellis, you should not be able to catch up when driving alone on a speedway. Absolutely not. No, exactly, because drafting is, if you lose the draft, you've lost those speeds. The draft is an incredible amount, it's like a brick wall of air. So I totally agree with you on that. The only reason I was able to catch up there is because obviously something happened in front to slow half of that pack down. GSAM Dad, personally I'm with you on this. It's negatively affects immersion if overused. Good racecraft is about every aspect of not crashing, as it were. Yeah, this is exactly why I use max damage, because I love to be in a race where I know that there are consequences. It makes the realism more into everything's more intense. John Ellis, even NASCAR Racing 2003 had that sorted out. What is that exactly, John? I did used to have, in fact, I've still got a copy of NASCAR 2003 around here somewhere. I'm not quite clear on what you mean. Just let me know what you mean. Right, one thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to... Yeah, I'm going to just give myself a slightly higher gear ratio so we can try and keep up with these cars and get into 6th. Right, let's try this again. Yeah, so that bug with them sliding down the tarmac, I have seen that in R-Factor 2 years ago. So there must be a problem with stationary cars and grip and gravity and how that's programmed into the sim. John Ellis, losing the draft would cost 1 second a lap at least. Yeah, that is happening in this. They've got that spot on. The drafting in this, they've done it really well. Can't complain about that. You only get to catch up with the pack if there's a problem up ahead. Right, okay. Right, I'm really going for it this time. Staying in the draft. Right, now this is going to get difficult because I've actually got to try and overtake and I can't see anything. I have to, there we go, raise my seat a bit. Because I'm really short. I've got to say this, this I absolutely love. I'm getting a toe now, I'm getting a toe. Oh, and there we go. Oh, dearie me. And I got caught up in that accident. So, yeah, I'm not going to try and carry on there because the car's totaled. Maybe to try and show you this problem, it's probably better if I turn damage off or something like that just for the moment, or turn it down, and lower the opponent level to 80 so I can get in front so I can show you this problem. So I'll save that, make the damage not quite so harsh. I'm not going to turn it fully off because then I don't know if we'll get yellow flags. And we'll go back and I'll show you this other problem with the yellow flags, if it still exists, because this is live. We've had the new patch, so we'll see if this has been solved. In the meantime, Fartini, I love the damage sensitivity, but the player's car seems far more sensitive than the AI cars. I definitely agree with you there, Fartini. Absolutely. That is something that I think they could be looked at. It seems fine when you're at normal 100% damage scaling or full damage, or what is now medium damage scaling. Turn up to 200 and, you know, you can really damage your suspension, and so will they, but they'll be able to drive. They're slowed down, but they don't slow down half as much as you have to with damaged suspension and things like that. I know that's going to be a hard thing for any sim to program, that sort of thing. Grand upper. I'm multitasking on a work call, so have this on mute, but that crash made me laugh aloud. Well, I'm glad you're being entertained by my totally rubbish driving. I will try and do better. Okay, here we go. So, look at that, we got a car just left right behind there. Is he going to overtake me? Because what's happened there? What's happened there? We're on a rolling start, and the AI has just fecked up a rolling start. Well, at least that puts me ahead. Saying maintain position 23, and if I go further on, right, they've fixed that. I do have to maintain position 23, but I shouldn't have to maintain position 23. It's now going to 25. It should tell me maintain position 28 or whatever the last position. It lets you change up if you're on a rolling start. It's weird. Okay, so at least I've got in front of at least one car. No! Oh! Right, I've got to catch up and overtake. I wasn't paying attention. I do find you have to let these cars get all the way to the top of their rev range to get. If you short shift in these cars, you just got no acceleration. Going around the outside, get close to the wall, but we made it. 6th gear, we're in 6 gears, folks. With that gear adjustment I did, it's allowed us to get into 6th, so brilliant. That's obviously what the AI have done. So if you're not being able to keep up with the AI, it's not just because of their ability, guys. It's because they change their gearing blatantly, especially at tracks like this. Right, now, what we want to happen is a problem. I've got to try and not crash, but stay with the pack. We want, whilst I'm in front of a few cars, I'll try and get in front of a few more. We want a yellow flag to happen. So I'm going to try and stay in front of these few cars, and hopefully there'll be a yellow flag and I won't get caught up in it, so I can show you what's going to happen. I've got a car on my right there. Going to have to concentrate right now, folks. Right, he's gone, so I can pull in. Follow the draft down the inside here. I've got to lift up a little bit. I'm getting a bit too close. Green car's gone through on my right. Oh, he slowed down a bit. And there we go. Oh my word. That was a huge accident. Okay, I've got to return to position 7. Right, okay. Right, so I'm now in position 7. Now, here's where I can show you the problem. If I now don't obey the yellow flags, the yellow flag is supposed to maintain position, don't speed up or slow down too much. So I'm going to deliberately slow down too much and let these cars past. Come on. Come on, there we go, right. So 1, 2, 3 cars have overtaken me. Right, so I need to get back to my position. I've overtaken 1 car, and it's telling me to get back in position. I was originally in that position on the pace lap. Now, is that a rule in NASCAR that if you do go too slow and you lose a position on a pace lap, that's your fault and you have to go to the position you're in? I don't know, but it seems like it might be a bit of a problem. That just seems a bit wrong to me. Listen, now John Ellis is speaking to me. Oh, have I lost it? Right, okay. I know, I'm going to let this car... Oh, no! That's brilliant. It does seem to now be remembering my position, because it just told me to get back to 7th again. So... it's just a bit confusing, guys. Can you sort of see what I mean? It's hard to explain when you're oval racing, because this is fucking intense. Oh, we've got a mechanical failure. There's some smoke coming off I think it was the red and blue car. Anyway, what this test has proven is that yellow flags seem to be working better already, but there's a weird thing. It's a bit confusing with position holding. I suppose if you slow down too much, it's your fault. But it does seem like I'm going to be able to say that it looks like this. Right, was that a random wheel coming off there? I can't... There's another wheel on the outside of the track. I can't... Oh, I'm going to give the position back. See, now I've got to give the position back to this car, but I have to slow... I've only got 5 seconds to do it, and he will not overtake. So now I'll give him position back. Because he would not overtake, and then suddenly shot forward. The other car behind him has then overtaken me. And I then can't keep up, so I'm losing that position as well. Very annoying. There's a random failure. We've only seen one random failure. So they've just slammed on their brakes. Absolutely slammed them on. So a bit of refinement to do overall there. It's now very confusing as to what position I'm in. I've just lost the extra position to this car as well. The red car probably... There we go, okay. It's very confusing. And look, they've slammed the brakes on again. I do like the fact that I can actually see the camber on the front, the car in front. I can actually see the positive camber on the inside wheel. I like that. Oh, wasn't paying attention. We're racing again. Anyway, for all the complaining I've just done, I'm not... There we go. You see that? A wheel has just appeared from nowhere. Looks like it's popped off of a car. So that bug is still there. So we can confirm that that weird bug with the IndyCars just suddenly popping tyres is still there. So there is still a bug there. I'm not too worried about all these little problems and bugs after all what I've said, because I know Reza. Give it another week and they'll have sorted that. You know, and in the meantime, we still get to enjoy slightly imperfect, but damn good fun oval racing. And it is good fun. I haven't tried pit stops yet. I've got the cars behind me slipstreaming me. They're going to overtake. See what's going on behind. Yeah. Car right up my jacksie. They're probably going to go down the inside, as they are, yeah. Oh, God, this is tense. Up! Pack slowed right down there. I don't know why. Must have been a problem. Another thing I have found, and I found this mostly, it was either Gateway or Fontana. Oh! See, just driven right through that car. That's just total immersion breaker. And these two cars have just come right up behind me and driven through me, even though I was maintaining position. So now I've lost that position. It's telling me to get back behind the two cars that were... Yeah, there we go. I'm done with that. So, right, in conclusion, obviously the wheels popping off bug is still there, which is not good. But I'm pretty sure it will get sorted because that's what Rees do. They jump on things really quickly. Because, you know, I think all of us fans of it are pretty good at doing bug reports or doing the odd video or whatever and letting them know. Yellow system and the way the AI act with it yet not fine-tuned. I know they will sort that out because I can tell you this. From the way this game started out and with what's happened with the AI, there were points early on where the AI was just like, what is this? What is this? And now with the AI that has been refined for certain cars and certain tracks, it's stellar. It's brilliant. So I know that's going to happen with this. But we got the bug there. But on the good news, with the last patch, it seems like the random failures have been sorted out. Because we only saw one there, and previously, if I came to Daytona Oval, it was everywhere. It was everywhere. Also, another important point to bring up. If I just go to restart session, I'm not going to have another race here. But we do have in our setups, you won't find this. This is greyed out. This is greyed out at road course tracks, but we've got the weight jacker, which basically makes your outside right wheel come up or down, and changes the way the car turns in. And it does work. It goes from 1 to 5. If you can map a button to adjust that in car, okay? If you go around one of the corners on a test day and just keep jacking that up as you're cornering, you'll find your car gradually turns in a lot more to the point where you need to adjust your steering, else you're going to spin. It's really good, that. Another thing which is a little oddity, and I've brought this up just today on the forums. I've already had a reply from Crimson Essence. These are the Reza forums. Had a reply from Crimson Essence letting me know what's actually going on with this. So I noticed that if you go to your drivetrain, in your differential, if you're on a road track, you'll have your limited slip on, and there's no spool. You've just got a limited slip. Now, when you go to an oval, you'll find you've got both spool and clutch LSD on or off. Now, look, it says the spool's on, but I can still adjust the LSD. It's impossible to have both the spool and an LSD running at the same time, and you might be thinking, well, the LSD's off, but when that's on, shouldn't this all be greyed out? Because there's no point, because you're on the spool. But if you turn, you can turn on the clutch, the limit slip, and the spool doesn't immediately turn off, as it should do, because it's physically impossible to run two at the same time. So now, what are you on? Are you on the clutch? Are you on the are you on your limited slip or on the spool? You don't know. But Crimson Essence, I asked this question on the forums today, so just so you guys know, Crimson Essence said if the spool is on, it will always override the limited slip. But you can turn them both off and on at the same time, so I don't know if the limit slip is even working. So what I'm going to do now is quickly go to a test track and find out. I'll just reset all of this to defaults. I'm going to go for a test day and see if we can find out what is working there and what isn't. So I don't know if I've made that clear. What I'm trying to find out is, one, you can turn them on at the same time without the other one greying out. That's definitely a problem and very confusing for new users. Two, is the LSD ever working at all? So if you've got the spool turned off, because I've got a feeling that the LSD there might be a hangover and it's actually now redundant and will be taken away in a subsequent or further UI update. Let's find out, because I don't know and I want to find out so we'll all know. Like, I want this stream to be, you know, kind of figuring out problems, and then we'll get onto the stuff that I'm really enjoying. I've gone past Formula again. Silly me. Right, Formula USA, there we go. select that for a test day at Daytona. John Ellis. Karts from that time period have a very small difference between 5th and 6th gear. 5th was aggressive, top speed, 6th more of a fuel saver ratio. Okay, that's interesting, because I was wondering if, as well as that, because obviously it's going to stop your engine from overheating, but also you sort of reach peak revs, and depending on the length of the track, the car, before it hits the other turn, can't get up to speed to change into 6 if you're on your own. But if you're in the draft, I found you can just about get into 6, because of course your car goes faster. So I thought 6 might be there specifically for when the air resistance gets less and it can actually use that. I didn't realise it was for fuel saving, but I can see what you mean. Right, we're going to our setup here. We're on defaults. Let's just check we've got the spool on. Now let's see. I'm going to give it a quick drive, and obviously it's going to act like it's running on a spool. Let's turn all of this off. And I've stalled it. There you go. There's your entertainment, guys. As well as my stupid hair, you can laugh at the fact that I can't start an Indy car. Because the clutches on these you really do have to have some revs. And I don't want to burn out the clutch either. Right, so if we get up to a reasonable speed, lift off. Right, so that's how it's working on our spool. By the way, so that's definitely working as it would do on a spool. By the way, if you drive these cars on flat ground, they feel a bit weird, because you've got the less aero package, and of course all your cambers are bent over to one side. It's really good. Right, so let's go back to the pits. And what we're going to do, edit the setup. We're going to turn the spool off. Now, both the spool and the limited slip are both off. So what happens there? There's definitely a UI problem there. Because yeah, still acting exactly the same. So what happens now if I return to the pit box? So even though I've turned the spool off, it's definitely still on. Let's turn the limited slip differential on, and we're going to open it up almost like an open diff, so it's completely opposite to the spool. Let's see if the limited slip option is actually functional, if it's working, or if it's just left there in the UI and shouldn't be. So now I should get tons of lift off oversteer. Right, so we're going to find, I don't even know this yet, we're going to find out live. Okay. Oh! That feels like... It's hard to do this on oval track. I need a bit of flat ground, really. Or at least a straight. Ah, this will do. Right, so we're in second gear. And turning, lift off. Turning, lift off. Turning. Right, let's put the spool back on. Just gotta move my... Okay. So the spool's back on. Whoa, too much acceleration. Lift off. Feels the same. turning, lift off, turning, lift off, turning, lift off. No! I think it's actually working. So spool is off, limit slip is on, totally open back, totally open diff rather. Get round to that flat bit, shall we? No. Right, okay. It does not seem like the limited slip option is working at all. I could be right, but there should be a massive difference from going from a solid axle to then putting the diff to those settings. It's just... Well, obviously the easiest way to test it. Why didn't I even think of this before? Right, return to the pit box. Edit setup, advanced setup. So Crimson Essence said that if the spool is on, it overrides all the time. So even though limited slip is, but let's just try make sure that's off. Spool is on, and we'll try a donut, and we should get both wheels spinning, not the inside more than the outside. Can we do it in here? Have we got enough room? Right. That's kind of weird, I have to say. It's not the best place to do it because I haven't got enough room. I'm going to go down here. Almost feels like I've got inside wheel spin there. Right, here you go. Plenty of track here to do that on. So. Right, return the pit box, edit setup, advanced setup, take the spool off, and now we've got limited slip differential turned on. It should be really, really, really hard to do any kind of a donut now, but I must say, doing that donut there didn't feel exactly like a spool, funnily enough. Please go and test this yourselves as well, guys. Then we'll all know. Oh, I don't know. Don't know. Hang on. Right, here we go. Okay, I think the limited slip diff is working. It's just this when it's on spool, it's odd. Let's have a look there. So this will be first time. That's with the spool on. Going up through the gears. It's not doing particularly violent. I would have thought with a full spool it'd be doing quite violent, you know, straight from the centre and out going round all the time, kind of donuts. But this is with the supposedly the LSD turned on with it completely open. See what happens. Well, we saw you seeing what happens, but it's useful to see it from the replay. Okay, those donuts weren't tighter. Maybe it's just because this car's got so much power just literally so much power you can donut it anyway. But return to the pit box. Let's try the limited slip diff, but with it turned up to Supermax. So how high can we go with this thing? 500 Newton meters. 500. Clutches all the way up. Let's lock these right up, especially under power, but we'll do both anyway. Actually, I'm going to leave it open under coast, and we'll really know. Oh! Losing a lot of feel in the steering there, under braking. Okay, yeah, that's definitely tighter. That is definitely tighter. Ah, here's another thing. If you stall your engine in the karts, I'm not sure if karts have a starter motor in them or not. I'm pretty sure, well, I guess they must do. F1 cars don't, but make sure you've got a start engine button, because even if you have automatic engine start set to be on, it doesn't work. You have to make sure you've got a button map for it. Right. So I've got a limited slip where I'm fully locked up under power, but totally open under coast. So if we get round to this flat area here, get it back down in a second. Now let's see what happens if we turn. Come off the power. No, there's just not a big enough obvious difference. So I don't think that's all screwed up. It's really confusing with both of those options being in there, but I'm pretty sure it's not working properly. Right, let's just get back to the stream here. Hello to all of 18 of you. John Ellis, reminiscent of when Jeff Gordon tried his first tried to do a burnout in front of 100,000 fans after a race and he couldn't. So how was the car set up in that instance then? I do see some of the GT3 drivers fail to do that, you know, when they forget to turn the traction control off. Right. Let's go and look at some stuff which is... there's one more thing that I want to point out where there's definitely a problem. And for that, we're going to go for a test day at Interlagos, the historic version, which I love, by the way. I love this track. This corner here, obviously, this whole part of the infield from the modern track is missing on the modern track, which means you miss out this great corner here, which is called Curva di Sol. Curva di Sol. That's Curve of the Sun. What a beautiful name for a corner. Right, so if we go to our historic GT and touring cars, I love some of the old tin tops. I love these Opalas, for instance. This is the Opala 79. It's 176 brake horsepower, 4-speed. Then you've got the Opala 86. That's 280 horsepower and obviously a lot more modern. Well, you know, next decade of car. This one you got the round lights on the front. This one you got the square lights. But you then have the Opala old stock. Now, so you got the Opala 79. So Opala old stock. That's 176 brake horsepower, 267 torque. This is 239 horsepower, 415 torque, which is ridiculous. Same body shape. Open diff on the back, if I remember, with the straight 6. Now, pretty much everything I've driven in the sim has got better, and I mean, like, just feels fantastic. This is a car with a problem. IB! Ah, I've been waiting for this stream and I nearly missed it. Don't worry, mate. You're here in time. You're here in time. And you can always go back and watch through this anytime you like. Right. So, oh, Christ, I've loaded a race. I didn't mean to do that. I'm on a test day. Silly me. That's going to show on my profile now that I've not finished a race. My mate Stuart has just got Automobilista 2 and he's so far managed to do loads of racing and he's not finished one race. He's very proud of that. So, Stuart, if you're watching, I'll get to the Mini later. Right, so Interlagos, there we go. Where's our car? Historic touring cars, old stock. So this Opala, great. This one with the high horsepower, the old stock. Problem with this. IB, so you tried installing it. And I'm also old enough to know when this sort of thing worked back in the 2000s. So, what was... IB, could you tell me if anything changed from doing a clean install, please? So, as you can see, we've got... Oh! There's an option here. This is new. There's an option to turn the spool on or off. As I know, these cars are open diff. So I don't know why there's a spool option there, but it does not work. So that needs to be taken out of the AI, out of the UI. Anyway, make sure on defaults. Yes, we are. Done. Now, even though there's been a patch which apparently addressed the tyres of this car, I'm going to put myself into a manual H pattern. Just check this out. This is just not right. Okay, I'm going to accelerate very, very slowly. In fact, let's just go to our options here. Change our, not the HUD, sorry. Not the cockpit configuration. I'm forgetting how to operate a computer. We'll go to Imperial because I want to see miles per hour. Resume. Right, so I'm going to try and pull out of here. Nice and easily. Now obviously this car's kind of overpowered for what it is. But I'm doing just 60 miles an hour there and turning lightly. 45 and turning lightly. The car's skidding. But I'm not sure if the sound correlates with what the car's doing. Anyway, here's the problem, look. Okay, I'm going to get up to a nice, easy speed. Try and follow the white lines, or the yellow lines in the middle of the road. Stick her in 4th gear. Right, I'm going to let go of the wheel. Centre it for a second there. Now have they solved this? Right, give it a bit of acceleration. Do you know what? They might have just solved it, folks. The Opala might be fixed. It was literally after the update on Saturday. This car was driving like it had bowling balls rolling around in the back of the car. It just wasn't even driving like a car. And it would just go from side to side under acceleration as you went in a straight line. See if I can make it happen. Bloody heck, they've fixed it. It's kind of behaving itself. You could let go of the steering wheel at a reasonable speed, lightly accelerate, and the car would just start swinging left to right, left to right. Let go of the wheel and it was just all over the place. I mean, with this amount of power in it and old technology and old Diff, it should be a bit crazy. It should be a bit crazy. But it was totally out of this world before. Right. Right. Normal speed. Okay. There we go. It's not completely fixed. I wasn't even accelerating there. and it's just swinging from side to side. That's quite good fun. This is the Curva de Sol, by the way. This is the corner I was talking about. Right, now we go here. Straight line, lightly accelerate, heavily accelerate. The old tin tops are very good fun, mate. Right, they seem to have sorted this car out a little bit in the last patch. This isn't so bad. You will find in this car, the old stock, the steering is quite a bit lighter than in the original 79 and the and the 86, and you've got probably got about 800 degrees of lock there. I think it's because it's got more lock than the other two. So it looks like they have fixed the old stock, guys. There's been a lot of complaints on the forums, which is why I've tried to address this. What do you guys think? Have you driven the old stock? What do you think? Previously, before this last patch, it was just... There we go. It's still got that swinginess, but it is an open diff. I think they've fixed it. Because before I could just let go of the wheel and it would just swing from side to side. Now with my hands on the wheel, accelerating hard, I am still getting that, but then again we've got a massively overpowered engine for what the car is. See what happens when we're going reasonably fast in straight line in top gear. Ah, there we go. Okay, right. It's not skidding now. Still really, really swingy. It's still really, really swingy. I'm really not sure. So if we come out of here and go to the 79 Impala, and whilst I let the track load, I'll come and read some of your comments that I've missed there. So let's go for the old stock. This I love, and I love... Oh, hang on a minute. We've got the right one. Here is the old stock. One of the livery I likes on the... there we go. There we go. Dukes of Hazzard. They used to use these in Brazil as police cars. The old Opalas. They were very popular. Right, whilst that's loading, let's have a look at what the stream says here. Crimson Essence responded to Mr. John Ellis. Crimson Essence responded to you at the forums. He states, for now, rule of thumb is spool overrides everything. You weld the shafts together. Yeah, that's what a spool is. Limited slip, differential off, and spool off should mean open diff. Right, that's interesting. That's interesting. Thank you for that. Actually, just looking at the forum there, I can see his reply. Barry, old tin tops are so much fun. I'm with you there, mate. John Ellis, criticism aimed at Reza needs to come with an expiration date. Criticism aimed at Reza needs to come with an expiration date. What do you mean by that, John? I'm confused. Grand Upper, I love this game, but this car in particular sounds like something out of a PlayStation 1. I don't think the sounds are too bad. A lot of people complaining about the sounds. I mean, I think it sounds all right. It sounds gurgly like a straight six. It sounds gurgly like a straight six should. They do sound gurgly. There are certain issues with the sound. I find sound pretty good with headphone mix in the game turned on using headphones. I have found it when I was around my friend Stuart's the other night. He's just got 2 speakers. And it did sound a bit weird there, but I'm not sure if it's because he had it set up for 7.1 or 5.1. He was only using 2 stereo speakers, so we weren't getting anything. We weren't getting all of the signals. John Ellis, they already fixed the issue. Do you mean with the old stock? Is that what you mean? Okay, so old Opala now, or the 79. See, steering on this, smaller steering wheel in this car, and quite a bit heavier as well. Same amount of lock. Oh, well, John, I did see that they have patched it. As I mentioned, they do seem to have sorted out, because that's the first time I've tried it after the patch. Before that, it was swinging around all over the place. Like, you know, where I let go of the steering wheel there, and it just swing everywhere. However, I've got to say, it still doesn't feel right to me. I think there might be oh yeah, this car's got 4 gears, not 5. I think there might be still to come with that car. You know, more. See, this feels absolutely fantastic. Whereas the old stock, I know it's massively overpowered and you'd probably be spinning your wheels all the time and you've got an open diff, but it almost feels like the tyres on the old stock. Brake traction quite a bit earlier than they do on this, even if you kept the acceleration down, if you see what I mean. I could be wrong. I mean, but this just feels awesome. You know, it's, you know, I learned to drive on a mud field in an old low-powered rear-wheel drive truck. You know, 4-cylinder. And the old Opala, or the old stock, almost feels like you're doing that. But it does also feel like a stupidly overpowered car, which is, I know a lot of people are complaining about it, but one of my initial thoughts is, there is an element of that's how the car's supposed to be. It's completely mad. You know, it's the amount of horsepower in that is just ridiculous. But as we've just discovered, they have sorted out the issue where it literally feels like there are bowling balls rolling around the back, and you can let your hands off at any speed. It just start doing this. It's crazy. This feels absolutely amazing. I love it, and I'm really glad. Oh, by the way, they've started paying attention to the older cars, and you know how a lot of cars in the game, right? They didn't have full damage, or they'd have damage, but it wasn't visual. And some of the cars did, and some of the cars didn't, especially the old cars. There was no visual damage. Well, let's drive this thing into a wall. There you go. There's your visual damage. And I have to say, Reza do a really good job on the visual damage. Because we've hit exactly on that side, on that corner, and scraped the side a bit, and it looks like where we've hit it. It's brilliant. I love Reza for having good damage modelling. One of the, you know, I've been sim racing since Revs and IndyCar on an old BBC Micro, and I'm going to mention a name now that you might scowl at me for, but when Codemasters brought out, yeah, I know, World TOCKA World touring cars on the PlayStation 1. And it had all sorts of visual damage going. I was like, yes, brilliant. I loved that. And then Sims didn't have it for a while. Now it's all coming back. So I like that. Right. So that car's brilliant. I love the way that feels. Oh, come on. Leave Broadbent alone. He's done a lot for sim racing. You know, and I would take his criticism seriously, seeing as he's probably the only one out of us that's, you know, a dedicated sim racer. But now, actually, he's worked so hard at it, he's now actually a real racing driver. So I do take what he says seriously, but I know what you mean. You know, he did give AMS2 a bit of a scathing review. However, I've just seen him, people have started taking chunks out of him on the forums, and I feel a bit bad because... he's done, you know, you've got to have respect for a man that came from being depressed in a shed, losing everything, and he's built himself up to the point where he's living in a house, got his dream cars, and is now a real racer, all paid for by sim racing. You know, I'm not going to agree with everything he said or disagree, but he did do a video saying that he also did a video that I think a lot of people seem to have missed or haven't recognised for some reason, that Automobilista 2 was one of the most immersive sim racing experiences that he'd had. Pole position on an Atari. Oh, with the old really stiff joysticks. Reza, please bring back TOCKA. I'm with you on that, John! In all fairness, AMS2 got off to a rocky start. It did get off to a rocky start, you know. And G-Sam Dad, he hasn't... Maybe Jimmy will see... He might surprise you yet and come back and do a video on this again. But, yeah, him and Game and Muscle are getting a right bashing at the moment. And it's not Game and Muscle. Game and Muscle. I've totally disagreed with him on his stream once. I mean... Let's see. Let's find them. And this is actually what I'm going to look at next. He was racing these. And he swore blind that, because this car used to say front wheel drive for some reason in the description, that it was front wheel drive. It's the fucking Beetle. Blatantly no. It's rear wheel drive. And you could prove that by because he's got such thick back tyres, and also it wasn't very good back then, but because he's got such thick back tyres and not an amazing amount of horsepower, it was really hard to get the back end to kick out, unless you went on the grass, and then it would spin from the back end, proving it was rear wheel drive. And I was on his stream and I said, the car's rear wheel drive, and Game of Muscle, being the way he is, just went, no, you're wrong, and left it at that. So yeah, I disagree with him on things, but he is funny, and I do enjoy his streams. And he has consistently streamed Automobilista 2 as well, so... Hang on, I've got more... I'm doing more replying to you lot than I am sort of reviewing here. G-Sam Dad, his comments were valid. My point was, people quote him way after the event, and they're expected to... And they expired due to game updates. That's no, you're absolutely right there. No, you are absolutely right. They'll keep going on about the same thing without having a clue where the sim has gone. But I think, you know, if something gets a bit of bad press, then people leave it alone forever, don't they? Or for too long, and then they're none the wiser. So I really do think that new video that Reza brought out promoting the sim as it is now, showing off all the things it can do, because it can do a lot more than other sims. Even if you think the physics of this sim are not as good as R-Factor 2, Assetto Corsa, or whatever, as a full package, it does more than any of them currently. But yeah, people are still hanging on to what this sim was, and I suppose that's a problem with the development process, you know. Or it's just a different way of doing things. Reza go with a long drawn-out time frame until the finished product. Another company goes with, no, it's got to be finished before we bring it out, and if there's stuff we can't do, we'll never do it, because that's that. I kind of like both approaches, but, you know, I'm in full support of Reza. Bob Gates, hello, sir. You going to do lobbies today or keep testing stuff? Dunno. I'm going to keep testing stuff for the moment. It depends how long it takes, because it's really hot here. Depends how long it takes me to run out of steam, get far too hot, and then want to go and have a cold one. Although, having said that, yeah, my iced water, which was made, let's see now, an hour and 48 minutes ago, is now totally totally warm. I'm right next to the window here. If I do this, that's just pulling the curtain back by about an inch. It's absolutely baking right here. Anyway, I will do if I don't die. Did he even review it recently? Raminos 76. I don't think he has. I'd have to go and have a look at his channel. Why is that group called Hot Cars, by the way? Grand Up and Big Lots, you still got Heatwave over there? Yes, we definitely have. Marty, Master Maker, I love the Fisker. Great close racing. Well, I've got good news for you, Marty. One, why are these called Hot Cars? I think it's a Brazilian series where all the cars are allowed to have extra width to them or extra power. I'm not sure, because if you go to the Copa Classics, or let's see, if you go to the normal Fiskers, they're 123 brake horsepower. In the hot cars, you've got 160 brake horsepower. 160 brake horsepower. That's a lot more, and much, much wider. So if we go to the normal Fisker here, I'm just going to change that livery because I love this livery. Blue and orange, my favourite colours, Gulf Racing. And then go to the showroom. So if you have a look at this Fisker here, which is, guess what they call it, which is what they call it in Brazil, I guess. That's kind of normal Beetle shape, isn't it? You know, you've got normal arches and everything else when you see it from front on. Now, you go to the hot cars, check this mofo out. Look at that! Look at the arches on this thing. I wish in the showroom they'd give you the opportunity to swing it round as you want, so you don't have to wait for what the game camera decides you're looking at. Much wider arches. And also, if you're wondering what the difference is between the Fisker 1 and the Fisker 2 is, nothing more than a slight bit of weight distribution and the way the cars look. If you look at these front arches in particular, here, the front arches and the way the rear arches are, if you're wondering what the difference is, if you look at the weight distribution, 32, 61, 38, 2, 61, 8. Fisker 2, 38 by 62. So slightly different weight distribution. And if you go to the showroom, there you go. So you've got a totally different type arch on the front there. That's the main difference, just in case you were wondering. But enough of me going on like that. Let's this is what I want to show you, because we're getting into the stuff that's we've been going into the problems with it, and there are still a few more to go over, but I want to go for something that's really, really good. Raminos 76. I look at, he hasn't, what? Don't know how people can trash talk when a video is a moment in time snapshot. I know. Been watching Jim for a long time and love AMS2, not mutually exclusive. I've been watching Jim's videos for a long time. I've been watching Game of Muscle, Sim Racing 604, Dave Cam, Billy Strange, Erin Havovich, GP, loads of people that I can't even go into, and I really love all of their stuff. I was watching them for a long time before I started making videos, and they'd inspire me to go out and try different things, so I can't moan about them. And I never watched them, so I could just, I'm going to agree with everything you say. Give me an idea of a comparison, you know. Today's SAT analogy. Cope Classic is to hot cars as Twiggy is to Kim Kardashian. I'm afraid I know nothing about Twiggy or Kim Kardashian. Asked me about God, who are they even? You'd have to ask me about Richard Iowadi or Richard E. Grant or I don't know. Buckethead or someone like that. They don't know who we're talking about. I don't know who you're talking about. I know they're in the media, but I don't know exactly why. Right, so these cars are brilliant. After the update, these cars haven't been paid attention to for a long time, and they've now got it. So we've got the Passat there, the Goal, and the Fisker 2. I haven't tried the Goal, well, obviously what's an old Polo, VW Polo. I haven't tried that or the old Passat. But this car, so I'm assuming they're all great. This, well, just watch this. I'm going to go for a race. And I'm going to get my favourite track for these cars. And we're going to go to a proper Brazilian track. Because these Brazilian tracks, it's one of the most amazing things about Automobilista 2 is all these fantastic Brazilian tracks. Because the motorsports scene out there is just fantastic. We're going to go to Londria. I love this track. A lot of their tracks are quite modern. They've only come into being in the last 20, 30 years. And the design of them is just fantastic. They make for great racing. In fact, let's see what the weather is like over in Brazil right now. So we'll go for current day. 10 minutes for racing. What time is it? The real weather forecast. So what time is it in Brazil? Because it should... real historic weather. Current live weather. So I guess it's 1 o'clock in Brazil at the moment. Because it ain't 1 o'clock here. I'm sure it's not. Is it? No, it's not. It's 5. Real weather slots, current live weather, type of start, standing. Yeah, we've got all of that. I'm going to save that. I am going to turn off for we've done the yellow flags now, and I've told you I love the fact that we've got them. I love the fact they work. I'm just not completely happy with the way they work. So I'm going to turn off yellow flags for the moment. And plus, we won't really need them for a race like this. And I've forgotten that we do that over here in rules and regulations. So turn that off. Select our car. Historic touring cars. Hot cars. There's my Fisker 1 hot car. Oh, this is going to be good. And here we go. I've got my gear shifting manual. Paulo Frazzo, is AMS2 now good for you or on a way of good progress? What do you think? I fucking love it, mate. I absolutely love it. I think there's still a lot more to be done. I've been with it since the get-go, but I absolutely love it. I really do. I love this. I love R Factor. I love ACC. I even love Regfest. In terms of physics, it's really, really coming into its own now. The minis, for example, the JCWs, racing those around Alton Park is just unbelievable now. It really is. I was around my friend Stuart's the other night on his new rig. I'll go into that later. And, you know, I hit one of the big sausage curves. It went right up nearly 45 degrees and came down exactly when you'd think it. In terms of physics, there are some things it does, and I'm going to be very controversial here. The odd thing that it does better than R Factor 2. I know. There's a lot of things that R Factor 2 do better, and King of Physics and all of that, but there are certain things that this does better. In terms of general, R Factor 2 is still better on the force feedback for me. In certain respects, I like this. It's 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. But yes, I'm very happy with it. I'm glad I made the investment when I first bought it. There were points that I just sat here and screamed at it and went, "What the hell are you doing?" In early access, but I got it in early access, so I'd made the investment. I had faith with what Reza would do, because just the way the company seems to operate. And for me, I was right to stick with it. So yeah, very happy. There are certain cars that still need a bit of work, certain things that still need a bit of work, but for the stuff that works, and there's a lot of it, it's fucking brilliant. I mean, what they've done with the AI is unbelievable. Right, so that's, if you were thinking of, you know, is it worth it? I'd say yes. I'd say if you took 10 of the cars and 10 of the tracks in this game that work well, it's worth it. We need not kill. Yes, we do. I totally agree. We need not kill. We need Thuxton. We need the lot for the mini challenge and the touring cars, which we've now got touring cars in R Factor 2, and they are brilliant. But enough about that. So I'm going on to a default setup. And we're going to go for a 10-minute race in the Fuscas. And we are at 100 degrees Fahrenheit on the track, so pretty warm. Tyres are going to get warm. And it's dry weather over in Brazil at the moment. I love the fact that you can go to any track and get the actual weather that's going on there. I've done that with my local track, and I know what the weather is there, and it works. It's brilliant. Just before I start, grand upper there is a guy, GS Sim Racing, that streamed a fair bit of AMS2. In his latest video, he thinks P2 prototype in AMS2 is better than ARF2. Right, we'll try those next then. Grand upper. We'll try the. It's the P2 prototype. We'll try those next. Right, here we go, guys. If you've not tried this combo, you got to give it a go. You got to give it a go. I think I'm on. I've only got the AI at 90, but they're quite fast in these cars. I'm going to lower a bit of the fuel in there, try and help us out a bit. Here we go. These are just... You could not really feel these cars quite a ways back. You just couldn't feel what they were doing. And I always thought, I want these cars to be brilliant and feel like proper old tech, you know, racing cars, but you just couldn't feel them. There was not much attention. Oh! There you go. That's how bad my driving is. Did I pick up any damage? We're on medium damage, not full damage. I ought to change that back to full damage. But these are great. Did I have them on 90 or did I lower them to 80? I think I've gone and lowered the AI to 80, so we're going to overtake everything. But these are just, you can really feel the car. It feels like the weight is right in the back. You know, you can feel that it's quite planted on exit of corners with those wide tyres and with the weight being over the back wheels, but also with the quite large amount of horsepower for what it is. You can get the back end out around a corner, but also if you're not going, you know, if you're just accelerating out of a corner and you're not totally mashing the throttle, it will grip quite well with the weight on the back and push understeer. And then if you really put the throttle down, it'll slightly oversteer like that. You will get quite a bit of lift off oversteer, but they're absolutely brilliant. And seriously, if you have not tried this combination, you have to. These cars, this track, which has got the most awesome flow to it and some challenging corners, absolutely feckin' fantastic. And you know, with these now finally being on the new tyres, they feel better than they've ever felt. I mean, in terms of cars that have improved in the game, these have massively. And the AI, by the way, I know there are problems with the AI at with the new ovals and that, but with everything that was existing in the game, the AI has got better again. They're overtaking and they're defending. They're overtaking and their defending has improved so much. The utterly scatty dartiness has gone. And now if they dart at all, people go, oh, the dartiness is still there. No, it's not. It's gone. But unlike in other sims, they will make the odd sort of darty move that a racing driver might do if he sees a gap, and I've lost it there. This is why they're so much fun. Lifted off too much because I was concentrating on talking. I haven't picked up any damage because they managed to... The way the AI were able to just slow down there and react to my little problem on track. Look at this, it's push understeering, and then once the engine's got to the right rev band, it starts oversteering. It's great. Glad you said that, Marty. These, you know, I think to a certain extent, this is what Automobilista 2 is all about. These brilliant little sort of basic technology made for cheaper racing so more people can get involved cars are just awesome. I've seen the videos of these things in real life, and it's just amazing to watch. So if you get anything from this stream today, guys, try out this combination. And if you've got a H shifter, you have to do it with a H shifter and your clutch. This corner here is really challenging. It gets speed round it, you have to get it just right. But you have to not lift off too much, else that happens. I've done it again. Let these guys go past. Right, okay, here we go. Let's get serious. I'm not going to look at the chat for a moment, guys, because you do need to concentrate to drive this Beetle. Not a car. It's challenging to drive because it is an awkward car for a race car, you've got to admit. Don't know if you've ever heard Jeremy Clarkson comment on Beetles, but he is certainly not a fan. And that's not only because they haven't got enough power for him. The live track, by the way, the live track, it's nice now that you can see a lot. Feather it, feather it, feather it. See, this is, with these old cars, you have to totally, people are so used to driving GT3s, stuff like that. No one bothers with stuff like cadence braking when you haven't got ABS, feathering the throttle when you don't have traction control, you know, anymore with those. So getting back to this kind of racing is just fantastic. And you will find, there we go, to get this corner right, I've just got to, it's got to be feathered. There we go. What was I about to say? Yeah, this is just immense. It's just, the fun you can have with these is just fantastic. And obviously, this is on default setup. So you can change the setup to make it easier or harder to control, obviously. And I'm not just doing default setups today because I don't bother with setups, I do. But it's just because that's just a whole area to get into, which would make this video or this live stream even longer, and I'm sort of taking a long time with it already, but these are just awesome. Oh! Nearly got a track limits warning, nearly went right over the curb there. And they look great! They look great! I mean, just look at this. Where do you get to see these in any other sim? And also heel and towing. You have to heel and tow with these cars. By the way, the new advanced damage system is really good in certain respects when it comes to that, because if your engine blows, if you get an oil leak and the engine suddenly seizes up and you're on a rear wheel drive car, if it suddenly seizes up when you're driving, you will spin, because the engine will just suddenly slow right down to a halt and snag the rear diff. It's really cleverly done. Oh, carried too much speed! Too much speed! Oh, bit bumpy, bit bumpy. This track, it's got everything. Elevation changes, tight corners, medium ones, really tight ones. And this chicane here, to get it right, it's just, especially with the sausage curb there, you know. And I've gone wide. I got told off. Track limits. I'm not running Crew Chief today. I'm not running Jim in Crew Chief, which would make this more interesting. But it's just specifically because I'm going to be talking a lot, so if there were me and him both going at it. If you haven't got Crew Chief, get it. It's bloody fantastic. That's another point I wouldn't mind. Oh, look! How's that? Let's have a look at the back of that Polo there. Could be wrong. No, it's all right. I thought the Polo had a little bit of damage on it. What was I going to say? I've totally lost my train of thought. I just, whilst I'm driving these, and this is against the AI. I mean, even at, they're down at 80%, so I'm finding them quite easy, but the moves that they're making are absolutely brilliant. And the fact that Reza, how many sim development devs do this? There's so many different types of car in this sim. Oh, there we go, getting past the Polo. I did mention on the forums that, you know, you have to play around with the aggressiveness sliders and all of that sort of thing to get certain cars to work right, because you'll get the AI drivers will drive the F1 cars in the same way that you would drive these cars. You know, these aren't too fast, they're quite tough, you can have the odd bit of door bashing without picking up any damage. That's, you know, you cannot drive an F1 car like that. You know, one touch of anything and they just go, no, I've broken, I need to go back to the pits, I've had a heart attack, oh, I'm dead. Because they're very delicate and precise cars. And also they go at much higher speeds. So I was constantly having to take the aggression down when I was driving those. Now, well, how did we do? 15th position, brilliant. Now, they're now going through all of the AI for the different cars and making the AI drive certain cars differently, and I've already seen the improvement. It's going to end up, I think AMS2 could end up being one of the best AI experiences out there. I love the AI in this game currently and what they do. Still the odd little quirk, but I find them very interesting to race against. The AI in ACC are very, very reliable, but they're, and I love the AI for the fact that they're on the same physics as you, because it means if you hit one of those, then you're both going off. But they don't make such interesting moves as they do in this. And I'm looking forward to see with the oval racing if Reza start trying to work on a way which hardly any sim could do at all, is making the AI specifically and deliberately, let's go to the pits, specifically and deliberately slipstream you. Because at the moment they get the slipstream, so slipstream works for the AI, but they don't, you know, deliberately follow you to get a slipstream. If they can do that, that will be something amazing. Look at this little pit. I even love this track's pit entrance. It's a great little road. And these cars are just brilliant. They're just fantastic. And the other thing you will find with these cars is, because the other thing that Reza are doing, which is absolutely amazing, is they are tailoring the way the aerodynamics happen for every different car. Now, obviously with these are not aerodynamic cars, so if you get up to top speed and you are behind one of the other cars, you'll start constantly overtaking each other, because obviously you've got a huge box in front of you blowing the air out of the way, and you're in a box, but now you haven't got the air resistance. So drafting in these cars is kind of quite important. Right, let's move on to the next thing. So let's go and find ourselves a problem. Let's see. Now, just come back to the stream for you guys there. Paul Frazzo. it's a bit weird. In the exit of the corner, they are super fast. And in some corners, entry, they are so slow. Tried it yesterday. The Porsche 952C in Argentina. And the AI is really weird. Right, I'll have to try that, mate. Remind me to try that. Hoping to race later today, Marty. But it's going to be 87 Fahrenheit. Yeah, I know, mate. I know. It's probably outside. I think it must be 28 here in the shade. Paul Frazzo, I think Reza will fix this. Oh, that's referring to your comment about the AI. Then for now, they focus on single player game, and also the AI must be much better. I think they're brilliant at the moment. At the tracks that they've optimised them for, they're absolutely kind of unbeatable. But I will agree with you, there's still some places where, you know, they're not so well optimised. Especially in terms of their performance relative to yours. What happens to it when it starts to rain? Some cars, you'll be racing them, it'll be in a pack of 20, you're in 10th position in the dry. Then it starts to rain, you will pit for wet tyres, and you're still roughly in 10th position. They're roughly about as fast as you relative in the rain on wet tyres as you are. Other cars, as soon as it starts raining, you change to wet tyres, then they just slow right down and you go from 10th to 1st. Although that's getting much better. They're getting much tighter with that gap. And the other way around, of course, is they suddenly get much faster. Try the GT3s. They're pretty well matched now. Kevin Barber, so many car track weather skill level combinations. It's difficult for reasons to get the calibration right in all situations. Yes, it is. But they're doing a really fantastic job. I mean, you know, you could compare it to some of the car track combinations in, say, R Factor 2, which is now a lot better since they've started working on it. But you really, you know, need a different level for some of the car track combinations in that as well. So it's not the only sim that does that. Hang on a minute, Ramanas, I'm waiting for games to start implementing AI racing in these titles, GT7 excluded. Not quite sure I understand that. Trained AI, that is. You can train them in R Factor 2. The Porsche. Try the Porsche 952C in Argentina. Okay, Paul. That's what I'm going to do next. But just before that, I did say I was going to point out a problem. Because I like to make sure that I'm pointing out the problems as well. Because if it gets back to Reza, stuff gets fixed. Because they're brilliant at doing that. And you know, that's what we should all be doing if we want it to be better as well. So here's the problem. Now, if I just go for my test day in the Beetle here, in the Fisker, sorry. A while back, we got the option of being able to adjust our mirrors individually on the car in VR, which was great. With this update, you can now do it in flat screen, and I'm great because we really needed it. Most of the cars I don't have a problem with, but I do like to change my seat position a lot from the default seat position just because I like where I like my head and I like to be able to see the full dash. You could argue all day about whether my FOV is correct or not. I have to make compromises, but here's what I mean. Now, I'm sitting in the car and bring it back a little bit. Oh, that's about perfect as it was. So let's pull out here. Okay, now the mirrors are showing me everything I need to see. They're not too high, too low, so they're fine. But if I wanted to, I can hit escape, options, and go to cockpit configuration. And then, right, there's my center mirror. So let's go for a vertical tilt on the center mirror. And I can now do that and adjust it. It's brilliant. If we go for the left mirror, I can do a horizontal tilt, bring it in, bring it out. The only thing it doesn't do is actually show you the side of your car if you're angling it in too much. I'd like to see that. Would you like to see that? Please tell me in the comments, and tell Reza as well. Also, on this left-hand mirror, vertical tilt, up and down. That is absolutely fantastic. I absolutely love it. And so far, from what I've tried, on most cars, that really works. However, here's the problem. On the one car, right, the one car that I really need that to work on. So let's go to our formulas. Let's go to the Formula Retro 2. And before we go, whilst this is loading, I will tell you this. The Formula Gen 2s were not right after the update. They've patched them. They're bloody great now. Vague steering's all gone and all of that. And they can turn corners, as you'd expect with the with one of these F1 cars with downforce and skirts. It's brilliant. But that's not the point of this test. This is just to show you this. So hang on a moment. And I might go for a lap of this before we come back to Paul's idea with the Porsche 952C. Right. Here we go. I'm in the car. Now, I've always found that in this position in the car, right, I can one, you know, just because of the nature of the design of this car, as it is in real life, you can only see about half of the mirrors. But even if I go right up here, look, they're pointing up in the air. So I've always wanted to be able to just bring them down a bit, you know? Now watch this. They're pointing up in the air, so I can't see any of the cars behind me. There is a bug with this car, and I'm pointing it out now. Someone go and make a bug report for me if you like. I'll try and do it later, but I'm running a stream at the moment. So if I go, obviously vertical tilt on centre mirror isn't going to do anything because this car doesn't have a centre mirror. If I go for my left mirror here, if I move the horizontal, no problem. You're getting horizontal movement there. But it's still pointed up in the air at the lights, not at the track. So I'm going to change the vertical angle. There's a bug there because the vertical angle... Oh! Right. Oh, that's brilliant. That's a discovery. This is exactly why I've done this as a live stream. I've made a discovery and you've seen it live. So what I was finding is that I was trying to adjust them and I was getting to a... You know, it's just nothing's happening. It's not adjusting. But I've never let it go beyond... Where did it start to move? There! So about 50, then it starts to move. Hey, presto, brilliant. I can now adjust the mirrors as I want them in this car. I'm so happy. But it is a problem. You see what I mean? They just don't do anything. Let's try the right one. So it's doing nothing at all until you get to over 50. But I'm loving the fact that I've just discovered that. So the one car I want to adjust mirrors in, I can. It's just that you don't realise it because it doesn't do anything till 50, whereas all the other cars do. Brilliant. I'm very happy. With that, I'm doing a lap in it. However, just before I do, Grand Upper says someday in the future there will be AI services that subscribe to you subscribe to monthly to race. Someday in the future there will be AI services you subscribe to monthly to race with that you will respond. Hang on. Can't, other comments coming up too quickly. It's moved your comment away. That will respond like people. Well, it's gradually going to get there. You know, Elon Musk's pretty worried about it, isn't it? You know, once the AI catches up with us and surpasses us, will they see us as useful or not? Or will they just go, you're in my way, and eradicate us? Or will we become symbiotic with them? You know, cyborgs. That's a whole different level of conversation, though. We're going into there. Paul Fraser, yes, please. They have to change this and what we see in the mirror. Yeah, exactly. But we've just discovered something there. The mirrors in the Lotus do work. Raven, I'm doing all right, man. I'm having a great day because I'm testing out this awesome sim. I hope you're doing well as well. How hot is it where you are? JB, is it just me or is the trackside grass more slippery than greased up glass? I don't know, I've never found it terribly bad. Maybe I'll try at the end of this couple of laps. Your enthusiasm is infectious. Cheers, mate. Cheers, mate. I can't help it. I love this stuff. We all do. You know what I mean? We all do. Right, I've got my mirrors adjusted as much as I can. I really appreciate that, though. Right, they're back as far as they'll go. Right. Now. Yeah, my seating position kind of suits that. Yeah, that'll do. Now this car was a real problem, and now it's not. I'm just going to check we're on default setups, just to be fair to everyone. We've done that on every other car. I'm not going to do anything with setups yet. You know, these had vague steering. They didn't act like they were a car with, you know, ground effects at all. Now, and I'm not used to racing at this track, but so I've never tried this before. Don't know why maybe my clutch didn't register where I pushed it down there. And now, and I'm not going to keep to the speed limits of the pit lane because I'm in a test day and it doesn't matter. Now, this car, it's brilliant. Works as you'd expect. The faster you go, the more grip you've got. I love the sound of this thing. So this is just been patched, this car. Only just been patched. Look at the speed I'm cornering at for a 1970s F1 car. For a 1970s F1 car. You know, it was harder to corner in these before the patch in these than it was in the Gen 1s, which do not have ground effects, which is pretty impossible, right? Now, look at this. Here we come up to Curva de Sol. No, this is, no, sorry, not there yet. The harder I'm pushing it, the more it's gripping. Up to a certain extent, it's amazing. This is Curva de Sol, the most beautifully named corner in motorsport, apart from maybe Sabine Schmidt curve at Nordschleife. R.I.P. Sabine. This is, I've never driven this car at this track, and I've got to do a lot more of this. This is fucking fantastic! You know, the steering's there. Oh! I just stabbed the brakes a bit too hard there. Broke the seal, as it were. Where's my brake bar set on this car? Oh, okay. That's reasonably far forward for this sim. Ah, now, here's the thing. I have heard people complaining on the forums that the rear tyres in this car get really hot. And they are already really hot. So I'm glad we randomly ended up doing this. Don't worry, Paul, I will come back to the Porsche. So, let's have a look at our tyres. So, right, if I try and not spin up the back wheels, because I want to see if there's a problem here or if people are just not knowing how to drive these cars and getting too much rear wheel spin. So we're starting up with cold tyres. Now if I drive around sensibly, try not to overdrive the rear, because it's quite easy to overdrive the rear in these old F1 cars. I want to see if the rear tyres do anything odd. Because I am really pleased with what they've done with the, they've updated the tyre heating properties. Because before, the GT3s had a real problem. You couldn't do more than 2 or 3 laps, or 3 laps of Donington in really hot weather without the tyres going off in a really weird way. I'm glad to say that's now fixed. So our rear tyres there are a little bit warmer than the fronts, as you'd expect in a rear wheel drive car. But as you can see, as you can hear, I'm trying not to scrub them. 4 rears at 71, that seems about normal. I should have skipped gears there, but right, so we're not overdoing it, we're driving quite sensibly, scrubbing a little bit there, fair enough. Make sure I get my heel and toes right. Now 70 on the fronts, 81 on the rears. But there's not a huge discrepancy from the front and rears. Not a huge discrepancy. It's kind of what you'd expect, although they are getting warm. And this, of course, is our first lap. So 85 on the rears. Now 1 second though, 1 second. We are in Brazil, so it's 119 on the track surface. So that would explain that. That kind of makes sense. In fact, if you want that in Celsius, that's 48 degrees. The track is at 48 degrees. So I think you could expect them to be, oh, a little bit of a slide. You would definitely expect them to be getting ridiculously hot there. Let's see what happens on the second lap. Oh, I love hate shifting cars and heel and towing. This car feels awesome now. Right, nearly at 90. We're at 90 on the inside right. Rear right, rather. Followed by a right slow hander. Sorry, that's a kind of a with nail and I quote. I wasn't. If you don't get it, don't worry about it. You know, only Richard E. Grant's finest role ever. And best film in the world. Anyway, enough about my taste in films. So right, we are getting hot on the rears now. Up to 93. Someone on the forums, I remember a comment, someone saying, you know, it becomes undrivable after a few laps. So let's go for another lap and see if that happens. So I'm certainly not finding this undrivable. Feather it, feather it, feather it, feather it! Oh! Okay, another great combination for you guys. This car, this track. Fucking awesome! Oh, grounding out there. Grounding out. I love the fact you can actually hear that. But I would like to see undercarriage damage, suspension damage from if you hit a sausage curb and stuff like that. Damage from below. Been asking for that for a while. I hope that's one thing reasonable to implement. I can't believe the amount of things that they have implicated so far. I was absolutely over the moon when damage scaling came out. Right, they seem to be settling. The tyres seem to be settling on the rears in the 90s. And the fronts are in the 80s. So that seems to me to be normal. It's a rear-wheel drive car. You would expect the rears to get a lot hotter. Well, a bit hotter than the fronts. This corner should help heat up that front left a bit. Yeah, into the 80s. There we go. As will the next corner. But I'm not finding a problem here. The track is ridiculously hot. If we count the outlap, we're now on our third lap, even though it says second, but if we count the outlap, we're on our third lap. As long as I keep driving it reasonably sensibly. But still, you know, giving it a good run for its money. Although we are getting close to the hundreds now. Mind you, I can do that in the GT3 cars when the track is this hot after a few laps. '99, and no, not a red balloon in sight. Right, okay, that seems fine to me. What do you guys think? John Ellis, give a hell! Oh, it's just feel like it. You know, this car, the way it drives now is brilliant. Raven, AMS2, the perfect sim I always wished for in my single player runs. Well, undertrade damage would make a big difference with ground effect in cars. Yes, also, these cars, I do believe that these cars now have the advanced damage modelling. So, before we go and muck about with the Porsche, what happens... Actually, no, I'll try and do this through the gears. What happens if we try and break the engine a bit? Or at least treat it badly? We're in fourth. We're doing nearly 190 kilometers per hour. What happens if I go straight to second? Oh, it's okay. Right, let's get up a bit faster, and maybe I'll change straight down to first and see where we can brake, because I've seen some amazing things happen which aren't even mentioned in the updates that have been happening with these cars when you break something. So I'm going to go 196 kilometers down to first. Oh, there we go. And the back diff just locked. Good job we were going slow enough, but I just completely busted the engine, as you would imagine you would. I want that to be a bit more gradual. It's hard to sort of do it with the gears. I love the fact that you can grind a gear. For anyone that doesn't know, by the way, if anyone's watching the stream and really hasn't looked at Automobilista 2 in ages, and you're not aware of exactly how much you can do with mechanical damage, watch this, okay? I'm going to try and do a few bad shifts without using the clutch. So I'm in third. I've rev matched there. When I've gone down to second, it's let me. I've lifted it, it's let me change without the clutch. What if I keep the revs high and then try to go to second without using the clutch? There you go! Did you hear that? It let me change gear whilst rev matching, as you can do in a car of this age. You could, as long as you rev match, you could change without using the clutch. Then I do it without rev matching at a stupid amount of revs, and it breaks it. How cool is that? But that's not it. The other thing you can do, I'm going to try, if I can do it. So this is for those of you who are not aware. Right, I've just changed into second without rev matching there, and it's grinded the gear. So I'm going to change it to second now without using the clutch, not rev matching. Oh, it's let me do it there. There we go. Can you hear that? You can hear I'm grinding a gear there. I'm grinding the gear quite a lot. I'm going to put it back into first. Now I'm in second. I'm in first. Into second. I've lost second, because I've just ground the hell out of that gear. I have completely lost second gear. Look, I've got no drive. If I put the clutch in and go to third, I've got third. Put the clutch in, go to fourth. I've got fourth. Slow right down. Go back to first. Got first. Back to third. Now change down to second. I've got no second gear left. Look, I'll slow the car right down. And I've literally got no second. So you can do that. Another thing you can do, you can burn out your clutch. So what I'm going to try and do now, if I get my clutch input, you can see my inputs down here in the right hand corner. I'm going to get into third gear, and I'm going to drive with the clutch half in. There we go, got the clutch halfway. What I'm going to try and do is burn out my clutch. Right, I'm going to be really horrible to the car. I'm going to pump the clutch in and out, 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 in and out. Right, now, how are we doing? And there you go. Right. So the clutch is up. Slow right down. Slow right down. I've burnt the bloody clutch out. It's still rolling slightly. If I carry on mucking about with the clutch, it'll stop completely. And then I've blown the engine. That is the scale of damage modelling at the moment. Is that not fantastic? Right, let's get back to the stream as we come out of here and see what you're saying before we go and see about this Porsche. Oh, I didn't chest the grass. I'm so sorry, JB. I'll try and remember to do that. Raven likes my camera settings. Check the set. Yes, mate, I will. I'll do that in just a moment. So, Raven, I've got to give you my screen settings. Let's see now. Amazing drivable car. The AMS2 have nailed it now. They've nailed it now. I enjoyed it when it first came out. Then it kind of got worse and better. And then now it's awesome. Marty Matchmaker, that is the historic version of Interlagos. So the 1970s version. It's fantastic. Has one of the most beautiful corners, beautifully named corners in the world. Curve de Sol, which is the big infield corner, which actually faces the sun. It's lovely. Oh, sorry, Oz. Yeah, I guess I was shouting a bit. Good to see you, mate. I got excited. Give a hell. I love that comment. Renato, Marty Mestmaker. Renato mentioned that coolant oil leaks may affect track surface. Maybe in the future. Yeah, he did make a hint that would be happening. And this is one of the weird things I found out whilst testing. It's not happened again. I had an oil leak. And I actually had black smoke coming out of the back of the car. I could see it behind me, but then I went to the replay and it wasn't showing. I think that's because I went to the replay as I was still driving. I think if I went back to the actual replay, if I loaded the replay, I actually had black smoke coming out of the back of the car before the engine blew, because I kept driving. Big fan of the Brabham. Kevin Barber is a big fan of the Brabham BT46B. Yes, mate. Well, old Jackie boy did build good cars, didn't he? Is there clutch damage? There most certainly is. Grand Upper, what about the DTMs or M1? Anyone tried those? Yes, I have. Yes, I have. Definitely say their cars have got better. Oh, yeah. But anyway, coming back to... Where was it? Paul was asking... Who was asking for the Porsche? Someone was asking for the Porsche. And if we're going Porsche... If we're going for the Porsche... Hang on, where is it? (962C), wasn't it? Oh, I love this car. This is another car that's got better and gives me an excuse to use the H pattern. So, right. Let's have that car. Now, where did you say you wanted me to take them to? Is it Argentina? Argentina? Love the diesel smoke on the trucks, mate. It's one of the most immersive things, and it actually gets in your eyes a bit. You know, it's obscures vision, but it's fantastic, and it makes the realism of watching those or seeing them whilst you're racing or watching the replay so much better. If they could get the cabs to wobble a bit as well, that'd be good. Yeah, I'm with you on that, John, about the M1, and the M1's got even better with this update. I can tell you that for sure. Plus, they've just added advanced mechanical damage modelling to the M1. Right, Argentina. Ah, I've got to tell you, Paul, was it who wanted the Porsche? Are you still here? I'm really not familiar with... these new Argentinian tracks, I haven't had a lot of time to muck about with. And I know they had some updating to do with them. So I'm really not familiar with getting around these. But Circuit 12 is the best one. Yeah, I was going to ask you which one you... Right, this one. That's... Yeah, I can see why you've chosen that for the Group Cs. Because it's, you know, big, long sweeping corners and big, long straights, which is what you want with these cars. Good choice, fella. So, and you wanted a race there. So, right, if we go and find... Oh, man, you live there. Oh, wow. Well, it sounds like John's in agreement with you on the choice of track there. So let's go for... We're going to get beaten by the Mercedes, of course, but... should we go for... We'll go for current weather there, shall we? Current day. Let's make sure... And... start time... Real-time weather, what? Right, we'll find out what time. Yeah, 2 o'clock. Well, now we've got current live weather. So we save that. Right, you wanted me to test out the AI here, so we're going to do a race with the AI. I'm going to leave the AI with these cars on 80, because I'm really not sure of this track. And the AI with these cars, as I remember, are quite fast. So let's go there. Right, Rave, hang on, no, who was it who first suggested it? Just having a look through here. Paul Frazzo. Paul Frazzo, I hope this is... you first suggested this combination, so I hope this will be a good fair comparison. I've got my H shifter on, obviously. We've got hard tyres with these as well now. I'm sure that's a new thing. I don't think we had those before. So that's something I really like. Come on, come on, come on, come on. I'm going to go over it, because this is supposed to be a bit of a kind of a useful review. I'm going to go over a few more problems, because there's tons of great bits with this. There's less problems than there are great bits, so I'm going to go over those in a moment. So we'll just do that. These cars have definitely improved. They really... I'm almost getting emotional. Right. You're about to see me drive a track. I have never driven this track. I think I've driven it maybe once or twice in my whole sim racing life, but I'm certainly not used to it, and I've never driven it with this car, and I'm probably going to make an absolute tit of myself. What do you reckon? Should I leave the spool on or off? I don't know. I'll have it with the limited slips with this track, I think. Yeah, they are going to eat the Porsche. Okay, here we go. Oh, no, hang on. Problem. This car doesn't have any mirrors that are immediately visible to me, so I've got to pop some into the HUD. Which means we'll have to have the HUD on, unfortunately. Sorry if that sort of breaks the immersion a bit, but that's what we're doing. And I want to... yeah, I want to be able to see a tiny little bit of what's on the right there. Okay, that'll do. Ah, and someone wanted my camera settings. Just before I go any further, here you go. So, I can't remember who asked for it. Just whilst I'm showing you those, so whoever asked for it has got time to get their camera out or take a screenshot. Oh, it's Raven. Okay, yeah, no problem. John asks, the Group C Porsches are now more competitive against the Mercs. Brilliant. Kevin, I'm with you on Snetterton. As you know, my local racetrack as well. Thank you for the live stream. I've been really enjoying it. Thank you. I'm glad you are, mate. And I'm sure we're all enjoying AMS2 at the moment. It's great times for it. Okay, so there's your camera settings. You might want to take notice of this as well, Raven. So these are my camera settings for movement. And you might find that the longitudinal and G-force vertical camera movements are quite large. But, you know, having been in a car, you know, and also having, you know, raced a few times rather in karts, you get thrown about like crazy. So I don't find it realistic when you're sitting absolutely still. I'm going to turn off high-speed camera shake though, because that's got nothing to do with the actual movement of the car. VIR is a great track. Anyway, let's get on with that. Let's have a race and watch me embarrass myself. I've only got the AI at 80, but they are fast with these cars, and I don't know the track. Oh, good start. I love that I've lost it a bit because let's just do that again. Sorry, I started adjusting my HUD there. I love the fact that one of the AI cars there had a little bit of a wheel spin in front of us. Right. That's what we want. Right, okay, how... Oh, right, okay, I don't know where we're going. We've just got a left-hander coming up. Got to be careful. And totally left it in GIF too long there. Okay, how fast can we take that corner? Do I have to lift? I guess I'm going to lift. Oh, I really don't know this track. It's tightening. Okay, okay, come on, come on. Keep up, keep up, keep up. This was with the AI at 80. I am so rubbish. Wow, what a straight. They're braking really hard. Oh, look! I'm making some space, but I need to be able to see what's coming up ahead. Because I just don't know. Right, we're close in the pack. We've got the AMG at the back there. Feather it, feather it, feather it, feather it. Oh, I'm glad you introduced me to this track, lads. I think I like this. I do like this. I think this might be mine. I usually take the Group C's to Spa 1990s, and that's about it. Might have just found my new favourite track for them. Okay, the AI moving about interestingly there. I'm in the slipstream. Curbs feel good. I feel everything that's going on with the car. Look at this AI overtaking, trying to get past each other there. Look round the right hand side, look round the outside, now go for the right again. Not perfect, but... Oh no, brake, 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 brake. Oh, I've screwed up my gears. Past my outside there. This is brilliant. I say that so many times when I'm really enjoying a sim. Just, you know, you just have this little affirmation to yourself that this is fantastic. And I have said it many times with this sim. I like the fact that this sim has just got so much variety, but it's done well. and you've got mechanical damage, you've got changing weather, you've got live track, you know, changing track temperatures, tyres that react to the changing temperatures. Amazingly interesting tracks. Can I get this on the inside? Oh yeah. That was a little I'm proud of myself moment. Do you know what? Whoever said it about the AMGs being a little bit more evenly matched to the Porsches, I think you're right. Okay, I think I'm starting to get the hang of this. Brake feeling in these, the brake feeling in these now. Very, very good. Feather it, feather it, feather it. That was my mistake there, and I've got a car coming through. The AI, if they see a gap, they go for it. But they still manage to do it pretty damn cleanly. It's just, I think it's amazing what they've done with the AI in this sim, I really do. You know, obviously there are problems with the cars at IndyCar tracks at the moment because they've just been brought in. And it will take them a while to get the AI right for ovals. You know, I think they would have even preferred, even with the delay of the ovals, I think they would have preferred to have delivered them a little bit later. But they've gone ahead and done it because, you know, a lot of the user base was crying out for it. First part is flat out, second part, no, it closes at the exit. Thank you, mate. I'm changing down to second too much. I should be leaving second alone. That's why I'm getting a bit sideways on the exit corners. Ah! Total fluff of a gear change there. Right, can I do this in third? Really feel what the front of the car was doing there. Yeah, it is better to accelerate out there in third. These cars, this is another car that's just never felt so good. And I lost it! Coming back on track, don't want to get hit. Oh, that was quite a big impact. My suspension is screwed. Dropping down on one side. This is with damage on full damage and on medium. And I love the fact that the damage just, you know, really sort of dynamically affects the handling of the car. So it's feel it pulling to one side, exactly as what happened when I broke the suspension in my own Ford Escort. It just yanks over hard to one side. And it totally changes the turning ability on one side of the car. Right, let's schedule a pit stop. Oh no, I've already scheduled for a pit stop. Right, where are the pits here, Raven? Where is... Ah, is that it? No. Ah, is that the pits? I don't know. I'm totally alien to this track. Ah, we should be about here. There we go. Ah, that's the pit lane off to the right there, which I've just missed the entrance to, I guess. Yeah. Well, I've got to say to Paul and Raven and John as well, your suggestions about this track, spot on. Really like it. Really like it. 2 entrances actually, but I don't know them in AMS2. In real life, yes. Okay, cool. Right, well, what I'm going to do now, seeing as I've kind of buggered the car a little bit. I told you were going to see exactly how bad a driver I was in this stream, didn't I? After this stream, no one's ever going to let me into a league again. Right. So there are some other issues that I wanted to bring up. Okay, so before we go back to all of the fun and the great stuff, here is one of the issues. So the car I'm going to look at now, I always, because of the size, nature of it and everything else, I like to take this car to Monaco. And there's something I want to point out, which is a long-standing issue. And I'd like to see this issue finally sorted out. This issue has happened in this sim since the get-go. And also, this car, there is also a Reza version of this car in another sim. And that's the Reza pack in R Factor 2, and it's the Formula V. Happens in that too, funnily enough. I have no idea why this is. Now, look, I'm going to show you what this issue is. Because I love this little car and the challenge it is to drive. This car, you have to drive it on the throttle or the brake. It's almost like it's designed to be, you're either braking or you're throttling. If you lift off, you know, it's just because of the nature of the diff or lack of it at the back, it's just going to become unruly. So it kind of teaches you to drive on the. There's a really weird problem with this. Group C at Monaco. John, are you mad? Oh, they'd never get out of third gear. Right. Don't take that the wrong way, mate. But yeah, it's just Group C at Monaco. This car, right. I don't know if I can do this in the pits. What I'm going to do, I'm going to put the clutch in and put it into gear. So we're now in first. We've got a little bit of a vibration now. I'm going to put my foot on the brake and come out of the gear, go back in. So has this been fixed, maybe, in this very last patch? I don't think it has. Excuse me! I don't get hay fever, but my nose keeps itching, and it's quite warm, so I think there's a spectrum of hay fever, you know, maybe I'm just getting a tiny little bit of it. Right, if I drive up to here, this is where the replay camera can see the car quite, I'm going to stop. Okay, there we are, I've stopped. And the front's gone down, and then come back up again, but it was very, very slow. Now watch, did you see that? I've got my, right, I'm in gear, but I've got my foot on the clutch, I've got my foot on the brake, okay. Just let it roll a little bit. I've got my foot now hard on the brake. Now I'm going to come out of gear. Got my foot on the brake. Going to bring the clutch up. Clutch in. Into gear. Right, look. Did you see that? Did you see that? Can you see what I'm talking about? Keep watching. And just notice the angle of the car. Right? Come out of gear. I'm keeping my foot on the brake. And I'm just engaging the clutch to change gear. That's all. So I'm going to hit the neutral now. Right, foot still on the brake, down on the clutch, and into first, into second, and back out again. Maybe they fixed it. Letting the car roll back. Look at that! Look at that! Can you see that? What is that about? Right, if you're not quite certain what is happening here, let's right, this is what I'm talking about. I'm going to let the car roll back a bit. Okay, can you see that? With the suspension there. Got my foot on the brake. That. There we go. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that. Up, down. Up, down. It's a lot better than it was before. Before, look at that. Before, I could literally stand still with my foot on the brake. And if I engage the gear, put my foot on the brake. Right, there we go, look. Right, before this last patch, look, it's just squatted there. I've done nothing. It's just squatted for no reason. What the hell is that? If you go onto the replay. There you go, just watch the back end. Just look at the back end. Look at that! It's like it's got in-car adjustable ride height or something. Can you see what I mean? Speed up the time a bit. There you go. Look at that. Isn't that weird? And also, with your suspension on this car, the axle moves up and down within the wheel. The suspension, actually, there's no animation on that. I would love to see that changed, because I love this little car. And it's handling even better now with this. It's another car that's improved. But that is just, that's not right. I mean, is it physically doing that, or is it just a weird animation thing? Anyway, that's the thing. Reza, if you're aware of this, can we please get it sorted? Because this car, especially around this track, it's just about the right speed for this track. And it's, you know, short wheelbase as well, so it's got the right kind of turning radius. It is just so much fun. Another H-pattern car which you can heel and tow. Anyway, there's enough of me having fun. You don't want to see me having fun, do you? You want to see me being useful and informative. Well, what are people saying? Every time I see this Formula V car, I just want to build one at home and take it to Buenos Aires. You probably could just get a load of Volkswagen parts and hope it doesn't explode. John Ellis, yes, the Formula V, apart from that weird suspension thing when you're standing still, is a lot better than the Formula Trainer. The Formula Trainer, unfortunately, has not really improved. Raven, what was that? Yeah, I know, right? Active suspension stolen from the Williams. Like pinching one's cheeks, absolutely. It is weird. Has no one noticed that before? Am I the only person am I the first person to point this out? Surely someone else has noticed that. TT, have you tried the trainer since V.1 consensus says it's jacked up? It's not any worse than it was. It's just not really any better. Yeah. Okay. Mr. Zakalawi. Zakalawi, is that African? I'm not sure. Never run into that name before. In the past, they've said the physics aren't linked to the animations. Well, yeah, because you still can't see camber on some cars, even though you know you've got it. So, you know, I remember one of the open wheelers wasn't showing any travel on the front suspension. Yeah, that is true. Yeah, I really wish it was linked to the physics, because I'd really not, be able to see what's actually going on with the car. It's like if you're in Assetto Corsa Composizione or R Factor 2 and you change the ride height, camber, or anything on the wheels, you then see it as soon as you see the car from the outside. It's... Callaway, you said it perfectly. Did I get the pronunciation right? Zakalawi? I got the pronunciation right. It sounds kind of South African. I'm rubbish at South African accents. Are you South African, or have I got that completely wrong? But I said it right. So wherever you're from, I got the pronunciation right. I'm happy with that. Oh, you are from... Brilliant. Whereabouts? My uncles and aunties are from Nigeria. Whereabouts are you in Africa? Oh. Obviously, I'm doing a bit of writing at the moment for a lot more reading and writing. I'm doing writing articles for Race Department, and I'm reading a lot more, and I think it's helped my pronunciation a bit. I don't know. What was the next thing I wanted to show you guys? Something important. There was something quite important. I'm going to have to just remind myself here. How long we've been streaming for? 3 hours and 9 minutes. Okay, what was it I wanted to show you now? Oh yes, the Caterham does a similar thing. So, in fact, let's test the Caterham, because that's been the subject of some major criticism, and for that, I think we have to go to Donington. And seeing as it's just come out in R-Factor 2 as well, let's I can't remember they are. Yeah, we'll go for the Academy. Not in that livery though. Nicer livery than that. We'll have that one. And we'll go for a test at Alton Park. Melrose in the Scottish borders. Alright, a East Carolina whiskey then, eh? Scottish. Scottish. Melrose. Use of weapons. Caterham, mate. Caterham. Going with the Caterham. There's been a lot of criticism over this car, and I've gone and made it a race, haven't I? We want a test day. I am a foolish boy sometimes, you know. What time are we at? Alright, I've got about 15 minutes to go. I will not be doing any right, okay. Caterham to me feels okay. There's been a lot of comparison made. Yeah, okay. We'll just do this quickly. There's been a lot of comparisons made to the Caterham. Oh, it's at the Azure circuit. What have I done? Sorry, I'm rushing here. I'm running out of time. There's been a lot of comparisons made to the R-Factor 2 version. The R-Factor 2 version, I think, is really, really good. But the steering and the force feedback is ridiculous. I've tried turning the steering wheel on a Caterham at standstill, and it's fucking heavy. The one in the R-Factor 2, I love the way it handles, but the steering is... This is kind of... They've got it right. In AMS2, it's quite stiff. That's how Caterhams are. They don't have power steering. And the one in R-Factor 2, even with the update, it's lighter than a Chevrolet C8R, which has got a GTE car with power steering. That's not right. A lot of people are saying this car's too slidey. And the R-Factor 1 version is more grippy. I think there's some weight in that, because if you do donuts in this car, which has got an open diff on the back, and you do donuts in the same model in R-Factor 2. Oh, bad driving! Oh, God. How embarrassed! I've just broke my suspension because I'm a twat. Right. Look, this is the weird problem with the Caterham. Look at this. That's because, right, okay, if I take my foot off the brake, right, put the brake on, put the clutch in, put it into gear, come off the brake. Oh, it stopped doing it. There we go, there it is again. All I'm doing is standing here with the foot on the brake and the foot in the clutch, and I'm getting this weird wobbly thing. Look at that. Does that happen when you get out of the garage as well? Or is it just a thing that happens when you're in the pits? Oh no, maybe it's just a thing that happens when you're in the pits, so that's alright. But yeah, if you try doing donuts in this, Oh, no, don't hit the wall. You can still donut, right? In R Factor 2, I can do donuts in this car. Even though it's got an open diff, people say you can't donut. I can donut in R Factor 2, but I can go 3 second gear all the way up to 3rd in this car, and it's still donutting. Once I go into 3rd in the R Factor 2 version, I can't. So, is that to do with a different setup in the R Factor 2 version? Or, you know, is it to do with tyre pressures? Has the R Factor 2 version got higher tyre pressures than this one, which allow it to do that? Or is it a physics thing? I don't know. But I must say, what's happened to my driving? I've just completely buggered this. But I'm going to try this one more time, people. And I will not crash, I promise you. I can drive this car. But does it feel better in the update is the question. Regardless of how it is compared to other sims, yes it does. To me, it does. On that subject of the steering being far too light in R Factor 2 on this car, someone said the steering gets lighter once you start driving. Yes! My mates with Caterham say it does get lighter when you're driving, obviously, but it's still fucking stiff. But this seems to have a reasonable amount of grip for, you know, the small tyres it's on and what you'd expect. It's does act like it's got a fair bit of power, and you can get the back end out on a Caterham even with an open diff. But yeah, there are differences between this and the R Factor 2 version, but does it feel better in this update? Yes, it does. It does. Pretty much, I will say this, every car that I've tried, I'm going to have to wrap this up soon. Every car that I have tried, after the updates, and not until the subsequent patches, and I think we've got more to come, that's my prediction. Every car, apart from the old stock and the Formula Trainers, are better. Oh, just to say what's going on in the chat there. Thanks for the stream, Paul. Have to go buy some beer before it gets hotter here. Cheers. I'm with you on that one, Marty. I'm doing exactly the same thing myself after this, before the shop closes. Bye, Marty. Cater with Hoppo lowrider kit in the pits. The ride height on this Caterham compared to the R Factor 2 version does seem far too high. I'm going to say that. Sad loss. Used to see him on the train all the time, usually drunk. I'm not sure what that means. Paul, before you go, what do you think about the rumours around IndyCar and Reza? Oh, what, they're trying to buy the licence. I only heard that today. I'm really not sure I can comment because I haven't even had time to think about that. Because I only heard it today. Yes, okay, 2 things I want to do before I wrap this up. One, when you go for multi-class, so let's add a few different classes. At Donington, yeah, okay. So opponent class, right, same class, multi-class. So just to show you this, I know you're probably all aware that you can edit the classes now, as in like literally the number of cars from each different class. But say if we put Caterhams on here, and then we'll put Copa trucks on here, and we'll put a Formula Ultimate car. So remember, I'm in the Caterhams. So we got oh, and there's a GT3 in there. Okay, well, well, that's fine. Now, Okay. You'll see the edit grid is grayed out if you're on max available. You have to go to custom or manual. Sorry, you have to switch over. If you're wondering why that's always grayed out, you've got to switch over to manual grid. Now at manual grid, I can choose the amount of vehicles I want. Right, so I want one of each, okay? So, edit grid. I've got to click edit grid. So you have to click edit grid. And so I want one GT3. So there's one. I want one Formula Ultimate. And I want one Copa truck. This would be interesting if you're going to do several laps of Donington and see how fast the F1 car laps you all. There's one, I love this, I really love it, Reza, feckin' bravo, but there is one problem. Now, I'm on the track in a Caterham Academy, and it's put that up as a class, so I've now taken that down to one vehicle, but that's under opponents, right? So now, if I'm sort of making myself clear, when you go to the track, because you've selected opponents, and you can't not have the class that you're racing in, or so it seems. Watch what happens. So there you go. You can see that on the grid there. You've got a GT3, a Formula, a truck, and two Caterhams. Two Caterhams. I only want one Caterham, which is me. So I don't... That's a little problem. If they could adjust it so you could choose your own car and then opponents just from other classes. I'm just going to see if there's a way around this. So if I go to multi-class and edit classes, what I'm going to do is... See, I can't unclick Caterham, so there isn't a way around it. I can't unclick Caterham. So there's always going to be two of my car on track. So I'd like to see if that could be sorted out. Reset to defaults. And same class. Max available. Right, I'm just going to check what you're saying in the comments. And I'm going to go for my last little bit of the stream here. No. Motorsport Games are not taking Studio 397 with them. Don't worry, I'm in very close... Well, I was in very close connection. I still speak to them again if I want with some of the people that work there. No, that's not happening. They've got plenty of plans for the future. And Motorsport Games have already kind of just gone as it is. Don't worry about that. R Factor 2 is here to stay. They wouldn't have been making improvements like getting the track temperatures working and things like that if there'd be no point. So it's don't worry. R Factor 2 is here to stay, and I'm very pleased about that because I love it, even though it is one of the most awkward bits of software in the world. I think Motorsports Games have lost their deal with Indy and BTC and everyone else, which is why it's all coming into RF2. But, you know, I don't watch the stock market or anything like that because I've got no money. So, don't take my word as gospel, but I have it on very good authority from people within Studio 397 that they are fine. And they're not the kind of people that would lie to me because, well, they wouldn't. Right, this is what I wanted to show you before I go. And I'll make this a race. There's so many more cars to go through. I'm going to have to do another stream or something. Oh, by the way, I am disappointed that we'd lost some of my favourite liveries because it's all official liveries now. We've lost the blue livery for the McLaren, and I loved that. But what I am pleased with is this. Right. Donington Park. And I want it to be super hot weather. So we'll go for current date, real time. But I'm going to make sure real weather... I know it's hot today. We're going to have it on sunny. Save. Let's get I know these cars, so let's stick this all the way up to 105. And let's put the damage onto max, as in full damage and max scaling. So you know that I'm being serious here. Here we go. Now, this is the thing that I am most pleased with about this update. Before this update, there was a problem with the way the tyres heated up. Now, the GT3 cars use extremely soft tyres because they're designed with traction control and ABS and everything else, so they're really, really soft. And they would heat up a lot on a really hot... Foolish boy! Did not save the fact that I'd gone and changed it from a multi-class race, did I? I know that would be fun, but this, for the point of the test, it just will not work. Right, same class. Max available, 105. Save. Right, there we go. So, what I want to show you is the GT3s, their tyres. I couldn't get, if I went for a test day at Donington with really hot track temperatures, like nearly, around 40 degrees, which is what I'm hoping we're going to get here, the tyres within 2 to 3 laps would get towards the hundreds way too quickly. And also, not only that, as soon as they got to above 90, the grip would just drop off like it had fallen off the edge of a cliff. Like, not gradual. They've sorted all that out. I can now race the GT3s again. Even if the tyres get hot, even if they get into the 100, you gradually feel the grip starting to go, but it doesn't fall off a cliff. So I'm going to finish this with a 10-minute race just to prove that. On standard setup, but I've turned traction control anti-lock brakes off. By the way, if you find on the standard setup that the back end on the GT3s is a bit skittish, they have the bump stops at full. Right, there's literally full. You could just take your rear bump stops down because that's stopping the suspension from compressing. Right. Here we go, guys. So watch the tyres in the right-hand corner throughout this race. The GT3 cars, by the way, and I know I'm shouting, sorry, these cars are quite loud in my headphones. The GT3 cars feel feckin' awesome. Once again, another car that is the best it's ever felt. Oh, locking up a little bit, don't want to be doing that. Okay, so the track, I think it said it was about 33 degrees, so it's not as hot as I want it. So I'm going to have to work harder to get the tyres to a ridiculous temperature. But we're starting up with tyre blankets. And obviously we're between the high 60s and early 70s at the moment. Just the way these cars are now is just fantastic. Sorry, I know it's GT3s. I know they're in every other sim. They are popular for a reason. I do like to drive them, though, without any traction control and ABS. Which isn't the best way to drive them, as they are designed for it and they do kind of work well with it, but they are fun like that. And the AI also with these cars, absolutely fantastic. Got someone coming up on my right hand side. I think it's a Merc. Can I make it down the inside? Oh, we're close, we're very close. See, I was able to get close to the AI there without him giving up and giving way like they used to. But he also didn't hit me. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get... Oh! Slipstreaming the McLaren here. Oh, there we go. Oh, lock it up, lock it up. Side by side, I pushed him wide. He managed to just keep it off the grass by keeping it on the curb. Still got round. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get the tyres up to a ridiculous temperature, but basically you can now drive on these tyres without them doing really stupid things because of the heat just making the grip drop off a cliff. It's a much more gradual drop off now. It's much more realistic in every way. And the way the track temperatures affect the tyres now is really, really good. They've really honed it in. Also, the new live track, you can basically, what they've done is, as I'm sure you know, is they have made it slightly more obvious where the darker rubbing in parts of the track are. I'm on, I think, default progressing here, but the last session I did here was green, so there's not a lot of rubber down, but you can see it. So for instance, you can see the build up right there. That's made things easier to follow. I'm glad they did that. Look at this beamer behind me. He's going for every angle he can on me. These AI just makes for such amazing racing. Oh, you got cars bringing up the dirt there. You can now see where dirt has been dragged. Oh, a little bit too much throttle on the way out of the chicane. You can now really see where dirt has been dragged onto the track as well. That's a lot more obvious. When we get back up to the chicane, I'll try and point it out if we don't go over there too fast. And I think my hair's even stayed in control for the duration of this stream, which is... Oh, look at that! Look at that! Did you see that? Did you see that? This is another wonderful thing about the AI, the mistakes now. Me and Stuart, my mate Stuart, I'm really, really sorry. I'm not going to have time for the minis. But I've got to tell you this, I was around my mate Stuart's, who's just got himself a brand new sim rig, and we were racing the minis. The minis now some of the best cars in the game. They're absolutely fantastic. You've really got to try them, and try them at Alton Park. We had the odd AI mistake like that. It looks amazing. It's great that he didn't just fly up the track, he just had a moment, and that to me looked pretty realistic. I love that. Oh! Oh no! Oh dear! Got to return to my position. Pit stop. Well, this hasn't been the most embarrassing stream of my life or anything. Right, there we go. Just busted my suspension. Yeah, we had a race with the minis. It was absolutely fantastic. There was the odd AI mistake which just looked fantastic to me and Stu. And also, you hit the sausage curves in the minis, and they will get up on two wheels and kind of get to the point where it's 45 degrees, and you get that little sort of bit of the rubber's doing that. It's not quite sure, and it comes back down again. Looks so good. Looks so good. Anyway, I'm going to stop that there. Let's just come and look and see what you're saying in the comments here. Is AMS2 now on its way to being the best racing in sim? I think it's going to be probably one of the best for offline racing in oval racing. I think they're really going to improve the AI with oval racing. I really, really do. There isn't currently really a sim apart from iRacing, which is the only sim that I can't drive because I've not bought it, you know, because of I just don't like the whole renting thing, you know. even if you couldn't have any AI or multiplayer, well, you'd want AI, but if you couldn't have any multiplayer offline, but you could still drive it offline when you're not paying a subscription, I'd be fine with that. I'm fine with paying a subscription for good multiplayer, but I do not like the fact that you never own your own cars. But yeah, I think I think at the moment we're absolutely blessed, because I tell you what, there are fantastic things about ACC. I do like the ranked racing in ACC, or the whole safety system, which people seem to be ignoring in this sim at the moment. It's a little bit confusing. That I'm sure that'll get sorted out, but people tend to be more careful with their racing in ACC. But we've got AC2 on the way. We've got ACC still in development. More cars coming for that. This is leaps and bounds. And I really do have a lot of faith that Reza will refine this to the point where it'll be practically unrecognisable to how it came out. Only now, what was it, a year and a half, 2 years ago? R Factor 2, which everyone thought was just dying, is now just coming on leaps and bounds again. Very excited. I haven't been excited for R Factor 2 in a while. It used to be my absolute favourite. In the last year, things that have been happening for that, brilliant. We're spoiled at the moment. We really are. Paul, I hope Reza will finish first AMS2 and then make the IndyCar game. I hope Reza will not finish AMS2 and keep developing it and make an IndyCar part of this game. So I'm kind of with you, but slightly differently. Kevin Barber, where is the best place to grow the AMS2 community? So you all think the Facebook group seems to be a good place at the moment. Facebook group is brilliant. It's one of the biggest Facebook groups for any sim I've seen. And anyone can post there, which is nice. I think Reza would just incorporate IndyCar into AMS2. Yep. And I hope they do. Because with everything I don't think they should ever give up development on this, because I think if they can tame the Madness Engine's bugs, because you still got those nasty bugs in the Madness Engine, but once they've done a full update and then they concentrate on the bugs, they clear the bugs until they then do another update, and then one bug might rear its ugly head again. But once it's in full, okay, this bit's finished. If they can get to grips with these little bugs and clean it right up, it will be amazing. Because when this was in early access, I was just looking at certain bits of the game, little clues that the game gave away about things that you could see under the bonnet, if you like, and the potential of it. And I thought I bet this can do so much more, and it is gradually shown it. I mean, with what they've done with drivetrain modelling, everything, it's quite amazing. Getting the modern IndyCar will be awesome. Yes, it will. Oh, Marty, thank you very much, mate. I do have a Patreon page. You've become a Patreon. Oh my God. Really? Marty, thank you so much. You are literally my second patron. Thank you very much, mate. Cheers so much. That's so nice of you. So kind of you. Thank you very much, mate. I've got 2 of you now. And I couldn't believe it when I got my first was. Thank you so much. And thank you to both of you, by the way. That helps a lot. Because you have to spend money to keep up with these sims, and I don't earn a lot. Believe it or not, I'm not earning from the articles I write either, and I'm not earning from this yet either, until I get over 1,000 subscribers, and then it will only be a dribble. So thank you so much for saying that. That's just such a great help. Cheers, mate. Great seeing. Thank you, Zakawe. Oh, mate, Zakawe, 2020 AMS2 and what it is now is a million miles away from each other. Really is. You're selling your farm. Cheers, John. Right, just to finish off, I knew that there would just never be enough time to do a video for this. And the stream has now been running for 3 hours and 40 minutes. I just quickly and briefly, if I just, right, all in alphabetically. Right, I've tried these. They're all better. Although I will say there's still a problem. The front end of the Caterham lifts when you're going over floodplats at Nordschleife. The engine's in the front. There's less weight in the back. It doesn't seem natural to me. I don't know what you think. Copa Classics, all of these. Brilliant. The new Mini, superb. Oh, and by the way, if you think it's overpowered, someone said it was overpowered, it's just faster than everything else in third gear. Once it gets to fourth, they overtake it again. And do remember that with these cars, if you get behind another car, because they're all boxes, you can get a good tug, but they will then overtake you again. Because they're just not very aerodynamic, so it's much better when one of them's in front of you, because your car's crap and unaerodynamic. Not tried these yet, looking forward to it. Not tried these yet, looking forward to it. These, brilliant. These, I wanted to do these in the Minis, and I've not even had time. These Copa trucks are the best they have ever been. They are, please try these. Go to Snetterton, especially seeing I've got someone from Norfolk watching this. I've tried these at Snetterton. Just awesome. Before, you know, they were a bit, you know, they were okay. Now, the feel of these things, I can't explain. DPI's not tried yet. Unos have, brilliant. F3's better than they've ever been. Formula Retros now better than they've ever been. Right, just before I go, because I know folks are interested in this. The Formula Trainer, not the best they've ever been. No worse than before, but I will say this. Watch out for this. If you go out on track in this car, it says it's got softs or wets. So if you select softs or wets, that's what you'll see on your car. And of course, this is the advanced trainer, so you get softs and wets and also 155 horsepower. Now, the basic model is only 113, but it says here in the description that you've got softs or wets. Now, if you go to the track, we're a custom race here, but it doesn't matter. Kevin Barber agrees on the trucks. Glad you said that, mate, because I tell you what, they really are something special. If you haven't tried the trucks yet, get the hell out there and try them. They are fantastic. Right, okay. Can you see the wheels on the cars there? That's semi-slicks or intermediates. And if we go to our setup here, let's see. You've got semi-slicks and you've got wets. Semi-slicks and wets. So that's a UI thing. It's not correct in the UI. So it's something that needs to be looked over. As for driving these things, well, they're really not bad, even on the, so I'm on the semi-slicks here. You have to remember, you're going to get a lot less grip on a semi-slick than you are with a proper soft tyre. But the back end is just, look there, I'm not sliding, you can't hear, the tyres are making no scrub noise. But the back end, look at that. Right. Basically, I'm not doing that. It's the back end is doing it itself. It's like, if you've got the back end behind you, imagine it's swinging around behind you, but like the wheels are on casters or something. So they're not skidding. They're literally, or like the wheel nuts are loose. Like the wheel nuts are loose. And the tyres are sort of doing that. So you're not actually skidding, but the back end's moving around like you're sliding, but you're not sliding. That's the problem with these trainers. They're not worse than they were before. Oh, by the way, this is another thing. I love the gravel traps in Automobilista 2. Me and Stuart said this the other night. They actually work. Look how much that slowed me down. You can actually get stuck in some of them. Especially if you get stuck at Brands Hatch. But yeah. In this car, and it's been mentioned on the forums, it isn't just me. Look, you can't hear it sliding there. Okay, there's a bit there. But if I wiggle the back end around a bit, it's just... Look, I'm sort of... It's like I'm crabbing a little bit there. It's... And the steer... It's just... Yeah, not the best car in the sim, okay? But I will tell you this. Every single other car I've tried so far, and I've tried most of them, absolutely brilliant. Anyway, I am totally out of time now. I've got to stop the stream. I want to thank everyone who's been watching. Please, if you've found anything useful on this, or if you've got any of your own discoveries, please go and discuss it on the Reza forums. Go and discuss it on the race department article about this update. I'm gonna, you know, I'm posting everything I can on the forums when I find something. I've let Reza know about the problems with the LSD or spool choice on the IndyCars, for example. Any bugs you find, any problems, let them know, because they are eager to make it better, and they are responsive to their user base. They really are, and they've been working so hard. They're awesome. Thank you guys for watching me. Thank you for supporting me. If you enjoyed this, please subscribe if it's been useful or at least entertaining, and you got to see my rubbish driving and stupid hair. I look forward to seeing you online soon. I'll try and get more videos out. I've been a bit slack on that, but like with this one, it would have just been such a long video. I don't even know if I've got the hard drive space to do a 3-hour 46 or 47-minute, as it is now, video, and then do all the editing and double up the files. I don't know if it would work. So you guys are just saying before I go, thank you to my 2 Patreons. Thank you so much. Can't believe I can say that now. Thank you for all of you chiming in and giving me your feedback and what you think as well. Did a multi-class with the trucks and me as a single car. It was hilarious. Oh, Marty. Oh, I can imagine. I once tried that in R Factor 2, a ridiculous multi-class, because I figured out how you can actually select exactly what you want in R Factor 2. I've got a video about that on my channel. If you want to know how to do that in R Factor 2, go and find my how to do a multi-class in R Factor 2 video. Kevin Barber, did you survive? Marty, nope. Well, guys, cheers. Yeah. Thank you so much for watching. I've got to go. I might have to do even yet another live stream, because I think there will possibly be more patches to come out from Reza Studios to do with this for this update, because I think they've done a fantastic job with the oval racing. Like, the cars can actually get around the track. I will say this though, at Fontana, on the road course with the Indy cars, they constantly crash into the first tyre bollard. And this has been mentioned on the forums. I know Reza will sort it out. I think it's an AI path problem thing, because I've seen them do it even then when they're in a single file rather than that they're 3 wide or something. So when they go around the first bit of the oval, they come off and they will go into it. But I think they've done a fantastic job to get it in here. Looking forward to seeing the yellow flag system get better. Please, Reeza, please let us at least have the option to switch off the cars that suddenly become transparent. You can drive, not transparent, but they become non-physical. Please, just for those of us who want it. I can understand why you've done it, but for those of us who want it, total immersion breaker. But the fact that you've got the Indy cars working around the ovals, and they do work, the fact that you've got a yellow flag system in there, that works. It does work, even though there are bits that I don't like about it. It works. And then there's what you've done with the cars as well. The GT3s are fantastic. GT4s are fantastic. The old Porsche 911, beautiful, by the way. Group C's. Anyway, thank you all for watching. I'm going to sign off now. And I hope you all have a great day. And I'll see you soon. Cheers.